Chapter 1466. Obviously, these birds did not expect to be ambushed here. After all, they were still tens of thousands of kilometers away from the Samsara dynasty. They would never have imagined that the Samsara dynasty security organization would be waiting for them here. The moment they realized that they had been ambushed, the soldiers of the Samsara dynasty moved out. It was as if Yi Chen's javelin was a signal. Immediately, roars could be heard. Countless black javelins rose into the air from the woods in all directions. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of black streamers shot across the sky. The sound of the javelins breaking through the air was like a sudden clap of thunder. The thunder rumbled and the slaughter began again. Countless blood and feathers scattered on the ground. These birds howled miserably and fell from the sky. Each javelin pierced through the bodies of 3 or 4 demon birds. The hundreds of thousands of soldiers of the Samsara Legion who threw the javelins were all strong men with amazing arm strength. Each javelin was more than 20 feet long. The black javelins were covered with barbs. The long, narrow, and sharp 3-edged javelins were extremely ferocious. Once a person was pierced by a 3-edged javelin, the wound would not heal in a short time. What was more, after these 3-edged javelins were refined, those bored pharmaceutical masters in Yi Chen's world let smeared toxins on them. These toxins had various negative effects such as bleeding, weakness, confusion, and so on. When all these factors were gathered together and exploded, the lethality caused by them was extremely terrifying. The javelins they threw out were like crazy lightning bolts, slaughtering ferociously in the midst of the demon birds' ranks. It was only the first wave of attack, but nearly 1 million demon birds were killed and fell from the sky. And this was just the beginning. Then came a violent roar. Release the arrows. Suddenly, countless arrows rained down like a torrential downpour, shooting out from the dense forest. The number of arrows was much greater than the number of javelins. In an instant, millions of sharp arrows pierced the sky. The demon birds dodged frantically in fear. Unfortunately, the range of the arrows was so wide that there was no way to dodge. The countless arrows in the sky turned into a mess. Tens of thousands of arrows shot out at the same time like a heavy downpour. The corpses of the demonic birds fell from the sky after being pierced by the arrows. In just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the number of these demonic birds in the sky had decreased by several million. The originally densely packed flying troops became much more sparse. At this moment, more than 1 million elite warriors of the Samsara Legion, led by Guan Yu, rose into the air and appeared in the void. They wielded the blades in their hands and crazily hacked at the frightened and terrified demon birds. The sky was originally the territory of these demonic birds, but when they panicked, they were caught off guard by Guan Yu's elite warriors who were like wolves and tigers. Blood flowed like rivers. By the time they reacted and gradually grasped the initiative, Guan Yu gave the order. These warriors quickly fell from the sky like meteors into the dense forest and disappeared. These demonic birds roared unwillingly and swooped down from the sky, wanting to kill Guan Yu and the others. However, what greeted them was an endless and dense rain of arrows. These arrows were shot out as if they were free. After the shrill sound of the arrows piercing through the air, these demonic birds were immediately scared out of their wits. Countless sharp arrows were magnified in their eyes. They quickly stopped their downward momentum and quickly flew up to avoid the attack of the arrows. However, it was too late. Following a series of shrill screams, blobs of blood exploded in the sky one after another. Countless feathers of the birds fluttered down like a heavy snow falling from the sky, accompanied by countless corpses of the demonic birds. Before they could even catch their breath, with another roar, Zhao Yun had already led the elite warriors of the White Horse Righteous Band to charge into the sky from another direction, intercepting the large group of demon birds that were fleeing in panic, crazily robbing and killing them. However, after the previous lesson, these demonic birds were no longer in the mood to fight. They only wanted to escape as soon as possible. More than half of the demonic birds had been killed or injured. They didn't want to lose their lives. They relied on their speed to bypass Zhao Yun's troops and continued to flee forward. Soon, they saw the densely packed ground troops rushing up, just when they were about to breathe a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a huge head as big as a mountain poked out from the void. The Lava Dragon King let out a ferocious and filial cry and said, "Where are you going? It's too late to leave now, isn't it?" Then, the Lava Dragon King opened its big mouth, and a crazy, scorching flame swept through the void for hundreds of miles around. These several million birds were instantly burned into a mess, battered and exhausted. And at this time, as I Chen's trump card, hundreds of divine dragons and phoenixes suddenly appeared. After a period of recuperation, the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan had recovered some of their strength. Of course, I Chen wouldn't raise them for nothing. It was time for them to contribute to the war effort. These demonic birds had been completely defeated. These experts of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan came out to take advantage of them. In the face of the absolute strength of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan, these demonic birds were all desperate. They couldn't win in terms of fighting strength, and they couldn't escape in terms of speed. In just a moment, the entire sky was empty. All the demonic birds were annihilated, and these experts of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan in the sky, although they had let go of their previous enmity, were still divided into two teams. They were still somewhat unconvinced of each other. I Chen stood in the void expressionlessly and said to these experts of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan, "Now that the enemy's bird troops have been killed by us, only these ground troops are left. It's time for you to perform." These experts of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan looked at each other and saw the fighting spirit in each other's eyes. Even if the two sides were no longer hostile, they were still in a competitive relationship. They all wanted to perform well in front of I Chen. They wanted to let I Chen know that they were the most useful. And the demonic birds on the ground found it hard to accept the fall of these demonic birds. They didn't understand how such a powerful demonic bird troop could be annihilated. Chapter 1467. This was especially so for Tao Wu, who was at the rear of the troop. When he heard that the entire flying troop had been wiped out, a terrifying aura suddenly burst out from his body. Tao Wu was in disbelief. He gritted his teeth and roared, "Impossible! The human race is so weak. How could they have the ability to wipe out so many of my flying troop?" When Tao Wu soared into the sky and arrived at the front of the troop in the blink of an eye, he immediately saw the hundreds of flying divine dragons and the phoenixes emitting a terrifying aura. Lao Ai was suddenly enlightened. Gnashing his teeth, he roared, "Damn it! I knew it was not so simple. It turns out that you are the remnants of the dragon kind and phoenix kind. No matter what, you belong to the demon race. How can you help the human race to play the blame game?" One of the ancient phoenixes sneered and said disdainfully, "Who do you think you are? You're not worthy of our phoenix race's loyalty. We only have one leader, and that's His Majesty I Chen." These divine dragons and phoenixes were obviously unwilling to talk nonsense with Tao Wu. They immediately shook their heads and wagged their tails as they rushed toward the endless ground troops. These divine dragons all had the talent to control the weather. In an instant, sand and stones were flying and strong winds were blowing. The temperature in the surrounding thousands of miles dropped abruptly. Countless dark clouds gathered in the sky. The thick clouds were dozens of miles thick. Then, with the strong winds, countless hailstones the size of human heads fell from the sky. These hailstones fell from the sky at a terrifying speed. The lethality of these hailstones was extremely shocking. These hailstones ranged from the size of a human head to the size of a millstone. After falling from a height of tens of thousands of meters, the lethality was even more shocking than that of a meteorite. When they landed on the ground, they left a huge, deep pit. Although these demon elites had rough skin and thick flesh, it was inevitable that their faces would be bruised and swollen. Some of the unlucky demons even fainted when the huge hailstones hit their heads. The weaker demons had their bones and tendons broken when the millstone-sized hailstones hit them. In an instant, the elemental elements of the ground forces were all over the place. They covered their heads and fled like rats. In the blink of an eye, They were utterly defeated. They all looked for places to hide from the endless hail. Unfortunately, wherever they fled, the clouds above followed. The Phoenix clan was not to be outdone either. They flapped their wings, and countless scorching flames swept towards the demon clan from all directions. With the help of the wind, the fire had the potential to start a prairie fire. These demons were burned until they were crying for their parents. This was the first time the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan cooperated. Although they were not convinced by each other, their cooperation was flawless. The fierce wind stirred up by these divine dragons had increased the power of the flames unleashed by the Phoenix Clan by dozens of times. In the raging fire that filled the sky, countless demons were burned to ashes. After seeing all this, Baiho roared crazily and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Originally, he had thought that this would be an easy task and that it would be an insignificant battle to wipe out a nation. He did not expect that he would be severely injured before he even reached the territory of the Samsara dynasty. With a roar, Bayan revealed his true form and rushed towards the experts of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan. But right at this moment, he suddenly felt his vision blur, and a figure appear beside him. Tao Wu raised his head and saw the Lava Dragon King bearing its fangs and claws in front of him. The Lava Dragon King was looking at him with disdain and sneering. On the head of the Lava Dragon King stood Yi Chun, who was wearing a purple golden helmet and golden armor and holding the Rui Jingu Bang. Bayan's pupils suddenly shrank. He looked at Yi Chun unkindly and said, "You are Yi Chun, the emperor of the Samsara dynasty, aren't you?" Yi Chun said coldly, "So what if I am?" Bayan looked at him ferociously and said, "You're finished. You little human, how dare you? Do you know who is in charge of the untainted land? How dare you kill so many of my compatriots for no reason? Kneel down in front of me and beg for mercy. I can give you a quick death." Yi Chun sneered and said, "Idiot, who do you think you are? How dare you make trouble for the Samsara dynasty? Not to mention you, even the Dongwang Tai can do nothing about it. I, Yi Chun, don't need to consider their opinions when I do things. How ridiculous." As he spoke, Yi Chun suddenly soared into the sky and raised the Rui Jingu Bang in his hand. Yi Chun's strike seemed to be able to split the sky and the earth. With endless opportunities, it tore through the sky and smashed towards Bayan. Bayan's pupils shrank suddenly. He did not expect Yi Chun to move so fast. He also felt a great sense of danger from Yi Chun. However, Yi Chun's movements were too fast. Before he could react, Yi Chun would viciously hit him with a stick. With a blood-curdling screech, Tao was suddenly sent flying. Like a cannonball, he hit a mountain in the distance in the blink of an eye. Rumble! In an instant, the mountain peak was broken. Countless rocks flew everywhere, and smoke and dust rose into the sky. After a while, Bayan climbed up from the mountain. At this moment, he was in a sorry state. Yi Chun's Rui Jingu Bang had left a huge wound on his body. Purple blood flowed continuously. Bayan roared fiercely and said, "Damn human, you've angered me. I'll take your life." After speaking, Bayan pounced towards Yi Chun crazily. His body was surrounded by a crazy, murderous aura. It was as if a mountain was crashing towards him. Yi Chun took a step forward. His figure was like a ghost as he circled around Bayan and unleashed a torrential attack. The Rui Jingu Bang in his hand appeared and disappeared unpredictably. His strikes were as fast as lightning. After the strike, the ground shook and the mountains shook. Bayan's body was also covered in clouds. Along with gusts of wind, his huge claws seemed to be tearing the void apart. He wanted to tear Yi Chun into pieces. But the more Bayan fought, the more frightened he became. He was considered a general under the Eastern Emperor Tai in the ancient heavenly court. His cultivation was outstanding. Even if he couldn't be compared to the 10 great demon sages, he was still not bad. But now he was giving his all. But he still couldn't touch the corner of Yi Chun's clothes. And Yi Chun seemed to be getting braver as he fought. His battle spirit was soaring. Bayan noticed from the corner of his eye that the mystical dragons and phoenixes around him had finished their battle. They surrounded him and stared at him covetously. It was as if they were staring at a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Bayan was shocked. It couldn't be that the battle was over so quickly. At the very least, there were still over 10 million elite troops on the ground. In his bewilderment, Bion lowered his head to take a look. What he saw shocked him. His heart felt as if it had fallen into the nine nether abyss. His body was emitting cold air. Chapter 1468. Within a radius of hundreds of miles, there was still billowing smoke. Thick smoke was still billowing out. His elite demon army of more than 10 million was already in a sorry state. More than half of them had been burned to death by the raging fire. At the same time, more and more human clan troops were emerging from the dense forests in all directions. These human clan soldiers were as aggressive as the wind. They cooperated well with each other and were extremely well equipped. They were in groups of 2 or 3, or 5 or 6. Wherever they went, nothing was left. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and corpses were strewn all over the field. Looking down from the sky, these human clan soldiers were all veterans. They were all cold-blooded butchers, and their killing efficiency was extremely high. They were like sharp knives, invading the demon army from different directions, cutting the entire demon army into pieces. Each of them fought for themselves and were utterly defeated. With just a glance, Bion understood that it was over. This battle was a complete failure. He could imagine that even if he could go back alive, Dongwang Tai and Emperor Jun would never let him go. Losing 20 million demon clan elites was a great crime. While Bion was in a trance, Yichun would not give him another chance. He raised the Rui golden cudgel up high and smashed it onto Lao Ai's head with a force of several 100,000 kilograms. It was a loud bang. Bion screamed and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the sky like a meteorite and smashed into the ground, creating a bottomless pit. Bion lay at the bottom of the pit, trembling nonstop. Yichun hovered in the void and glanced coldly. He knew that Bion was finished. Yichun soared into the sky and ignored him. Lava Dragon King sneakily turned his head and glanced at Yichun. He grinned greedily and immediately rushed down from the sky. A huge claw pressed on Bion's body and tore off one of his thighs. Bion suddenly screamed. He wasn't dead yet. He was only seriously injured. He could only watch as the Lava Dragon King swallowed him alive. In the end, Tao Wu could not face death with equanimity. He struggled desperately and roared, "Stop! Do you know that I'm a general of the ancient heavenly court? If you kill me, you'll bring disaster to the Samsara dynasty. The Eastern Emperor will never let you go." Lava Dragon King shook his head in disdain. Who does Dongwang Tai think he is? Was it delicious? Let me tell you, you don't know how terrifying my master is. If Dongwang Tai knows what's good for him, he will come to the Samsara dynasty and beg for mercy. If he doesn't, he will be my food sooner or later. Hearing the Lava Dragon King's words, Bion was stunned. He lay there and muttered to himself, "Lunatics. All of them are lunatics. How did I provoke these lunatics?" Then he lay there numbly, allowing the Lava Dragon King to swallow him whole. At this time, the whole battlefield was coming to an end. Countless warriors of the Samsara dynasty were galloping like the wind on the battlefield, chasing after the demons who were trying to escape. Yichun had given the order not to let them go this time. No matter how many of them came, they would all die. Dian Wei, Zhang Liao, Zhao Yun, and the others were very happy. This ambush was really beautiful. All the troops cooperated with each other, together with the help of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe. The demon race's expeditionary army was completely wiped out, leaving them in a sorry state. These demon race members were already filled with regret. Before they could even figure out what was going on, the demon race had already lost. They were defeated like a landslide. Behind them, those cold-eyed and ferocious human warriors were still chasing after them. In the future, if anyone said that the human tribe was a group of weak guys, they would be angry with him. Now, they only wished that their parents had given them 2 more legs. At the beginning, Yichun had predicted their escape route. So, countless ambushing soldiers appeared and trapped the demons in the middle like an inescapable net. It only took an hour from the appearance of the demons to their defeat. However, It took 4 hours from the beginning to the end of the pursuit to the annihilation of all the demons. There was no other way. These demons were scared out of their wits and did not dare to fight head-on. They fled in all directions crazily. Chasing after them was also very tiring. At this time, the 20 million demon army was finally wiped out. The mountains and plains were covered with the equipment and materials dropped by the demons. Zhang Liao and the others led a large number of troops to clean up the battlefield. Although the Samsara Legion did not care about these equipment, they could collect them and break them down for materials. They could also sell them to other human players. This was a big income. Yi Chen nodded to the masters of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe with satisfaction and said, "You did well. This time, you cooperated very well. Go back and rest. It has been a long time since the war between the 3 tribes ended. You should let go of your prejudice and work together more." The masters of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe looked at each other and nodded to Yi Chen. They said, "Yes, your majesty." Then, the masters of the 2 tribes soared into the sky and returned to the sacred city of Samsara. The news that Yi Chen had annihilated the army of the monster clan led by Tao Wu and his wife spread all over the untainted land as if it had grown wings, shocking the entire untainted land. The human players had been bullied by the demons for too long. It wasn't just the human players on Earth. Those who had ascended from other worlds were also being oppressed by the shifters. They desperately hoped that there would be a hero of the human race to lead them against the oppression of the demon race. Yi Chen's appearance came at the right time. Therefore, the human players were elated. "Ah, this is great. As expected of God Yi Chen. He didn't let us down." These idiots of the demons could have provoked anyone, but they had to provoke God Yi Chen. Aren't they courting death? Brothers, it seems like these demons are nothing. As long as we unite, we can definitely defeat them. When the humans of the Eldritch continent heard the news, they were all very excited. Isn't God, Yi Chen, our Holy Father? He's really too powerful. This battle was fought to my heart's content. So satisfying, so satisfying. On the other hand, the Sorcerer Tribe was gloating. Xing Tian laughed out loud and said, "Haha, this is too surprising. That brat from the human tribe actually killed that annoying Tao Wu. How satisfying." Chapter 1469. Qiyu laughed and said, "That's right. I like Yi Chen since he was able to kill 20 million demons led by Tao Wu. I'd like to have a drink with him when I have time." When the news of Tao Wu's defeat reached the ancient heavenly court, Dongwang Tai was furious. The entire ancient heavenly court trembled under his anger. Ji Meng, one of the 10 demon fairies under Dongwang Tai, stepped forward and said cautiously, "Damn Yi Chen, how dare he? Your Majesty, let me fight. I'll avenge Tao Wu and destroy the Samsara dynasty." Dongwang Tai propped his hands on the table and panted heavily. After a long time, he raised his head and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. He slapped the table and said, "No need, Bayan, that trash is dead. He's really useless. He was defeated by the weak human race. We have more important things to do now. How's the plan for that matter going?" Hearing Dongwang Tai's words, Ji Meng did not dare to be negligent. He immediately answered honestly, "Your Majesty, everything is under our control. Everything is going according to plan. It won't take long for us to shock the world." Dongwang Tai nodded with satisfaction and said with a cold smile, "That's good. As for Yi Chen of the Samsara dynasty, let him be arrogant for a few more days. When our plan is completed, we can destroy the human tribe easily. Your Majesty is wise." Yi Chen did not know that he was on the blacklist of the ancient heavenly court. Even if he knew, he would not care. With the current strength of the Samsara dynasty, they might even be able to fight against the ancient heavenly court. Although the demons of the ancient heavenly court were powerful, they would have to pay a terrible price if they wanted to destroy the Samsara dynasty. Yi Chen also knew that the demons were not at ease now. The Wu tribe was eyeing them covetously. Once the demons and Yi Chen were injured, the Wu tribe would immediately pounce on the ancient heavenly court like hungry wolves and bite off the neck of the ancient heavenly court. At this moment, the Samsara dynasty was in full swing. Yichen held a court meeting to reward the soldiers who had made great contributions. Thanks to the cooperation of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe, the soldiers of the Samsara dynasty also performed well and showed the power of the Samsara Legion. Yichen also did not forget to reward the dragon kind and phoenix kind. However, the only pity was that the fertility problem of the two most powerful races in the prehistorical era had always troubled Yichen. The fertility rate of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe was too low. Otherwise, the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe would have dominated the entire untainted land. Additionally, after the Great War between the three clans, the two clans suffered a heavy loss. Through Yichen's unremitting efforts, he was able to gather all the members of the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan who were separated in the prehistorical world. The total population of the two clans was less than 500. Now that the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe were under the control of Yichen, he was not afraid that they would rebel. Therefore, it was time to find a way to increase their fertility. Yichen asked many people, but no one had any solution to this problem. Thinking about it, how could the problem that had troubled the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe for so many years be solved so easily? Unexpectedly, the Lava Dragon King said to Yichen tentatively, "Your Majesty, I have some immature suggestions, but I don't know if I should say them." Yichen lowered his head and glanced at him. "If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you being so wishy-washy?" The Lava Dragon King chuckled and said, "Your Majesty, although I don't share the same origin as the dragon race, we are still a branch of the dragon race. Our Lava Dragon race is a famous tribe in the underworld. Although I'm the Lava Dragon King, I'm only one of several tribes. In the underworld, our Lava Dragon race's population is more than 10 million. Maybe you can find a way to increase the fertility of the dragon race when you go to the underworld." Yichen was moved, but he did not express his opinion immediately. Instead, he lowered his head and stared coldly at the Lava Dragon King. This guy was cunning and cunning. Yichen knew best what kind of person he was. Maybe the Lava Dragon King was thinking about something. The Lava Dragon King felt a little guilty under Yichen's gaze. He smiled awkwardly and said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, please don't look at me like that. I sincerely want to help Your Majesty solve the problem. In addition, I have a small private idea." "Speak." The Lava Dragon King clenched his teeth and said to Yichen, "Your Majesty, then I'll tell you the truth. I've already left the underworld for tens of thousands of years. Now, I'm worried about my tribe. I don't know if it's been swallowed by other tribes. If possible, I hope that Your Majesty can bring my people to the great desolate world." Yichen's eyes flickered as he analyzed whether the Lava Dragon King was telling the truth or not. He had witnessed the strength of the Lava Dragon King with his own eyes. As time went by, almost all the seals on the Lava Dragon King had been unlocked. The Lava Dragon King had also recovered its cultivation base of Almighty Immortal. It had played a great role in several battles. If he could summon the Lava Dragon clan to the untainted world, it would be of great help to him. In this case, it seemed that it was necessary to make a trip to the Nether Devil Realm. Whether it was to find a solution to the fertility problem of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe, or to help the Lava Dragon King return to his tribe, he had to make a trip there. It was funny. The Nether Devil Realm had set up a teleportation array in the Foggy Swamp and wanted to invade the mythical world. Unexpectedly, they were stopped by the special characteristics of the Foggy Swamp. This time, he was really going to invade the Nether Devil Realm. However, now that he had just destroyed the 20 million elite troops of the Demon Tribe, Yichen could not act rashly. First, he had to see if he would provoke the crazy revenge of the Demon Tribe. He waited in the sacred city of Samsara for 2 months, but the ancient heavenly court was quiet and there was no movement. This made Yichen feel relieved, but at the same time, he felt vaguely uneasy. He did not know what kind of conspiracy Dongwang Tai and the others were planning. This also confirmed Yichen's previous guess. Before the Great Witch-Demon War, the ancient heavenly court would not easily start a war with Yichen. In this case, Yichen could leave with peace of mind. Therefore, Yi Chun did not inform anyone. After announcing to the public that he was in seclusion in the sacred city of Samsara, he quietly left with the Lava Dragon King. A few days later, Yi Chun returned to the foggy swamp again. Returning to this familiar place, Yi Chun was a little emotional. The last time he came here with the treasure-hunting psychic bird, he was very careful. He did not expect that he would be the master of the foggy swamp when he came here again. Chapter 1470. As soon as Yi Chun and the Lava Dragon King entered the foggy swamp, they were discovered by the patrolling nether mantises. These nether mantises had Yi Chun's appearance in the depths of their souls, so when they found Yi Chun, they immediately reported to Little Black. Yi Chun did not forget about this subordinate he had taken in here. He was not in a hurry to see Little Black, but walked around the swamp again and found that the number of nether mantises had increased and the entire foggy swamp was tightly guarded. There was a guard every 5 steps and a sentry every 10 steps. It was heavily guarded. In addition, the misty swamp was a special place. Once one entered, even one's divine sense and mental energy would be restricted. Therefore, it was almost impossible for someone to reach the deepest part of the swamp without alerting these nether mantises. When Yi Chun came to Little Black's cave, he found that the guards guarding Little Black were more than 10,000 feet in size. Each of them looked like a huge monster, extremely terrifying. Little Black was even more exaggerated. When Yi Chun entered the cave, he found that this cave had expanded by hundreds of times compared to the last time he came. When he came to the core hall, he found that Little Black's body had also grown by dozens of times. It was like a mountain lying there. Seeing Yi Chun come in, Little Black immediately got up, lowered its head meekly, and greeted Yi Chun. Yi Chun floated up and looked at its mountain-like head. He was a little annoyed. The speed of Little Black's growth was really too fast. In terms of combat strength, there were probably only a handful of people in the entire untainted world who could defeat Little Black. Yi Chun communicated with Little Black and learned that Little Black had been lying here after he left, other than sleeping, eating, and producing small nether mantises. Now, the number of nether mantises in the entire foggy swamp had exceeded 50 million. If it were not for the limited resources of the foggy swamp that could not support so many nether mantises, Little Black would have produced hundreds of millions of them. Yi Chun was quite satisfied with Little Black's efforts, so he let it continue to stay in the foggy swamp. Together with the Lava Dragon King, they arrived at the previous altar effortlessly. The last time Yi Chun completely destroyed this altar, he had asked those array masters in the small world to perfectly replicate it. This time, Yi Chun directly mobilized those array masters to help him set up the teleportation array again. Pieces of extremely precious materials were automatically placed on top of the array. Pieces of top-grade spirit stones were also buried in the array base. In an instant, the place was filled with an astonishing amount of heaven and earth spirit chi. At this moment, Lava Dragon King's body had shrunk to only a few meters long. Watching these formation masters working like ants, Lava Dragon King was both nervous and excited as it paced back and forth. Yi Chun said to him in a cold voice, "Calm down. You're going back and forth, and you're making me dizzy." Lava Dragon King was a little embarrassed. He chuckled and said, "Your Majesty, I'm just a little nervous. I don't know if those little guys in my family will still remember me as their leader when I go back this time." While they were talking, the formation masters had already restored the transmission formation to its original state. Yi Chun looked down at Lava Dragon King and said, "Why are you thinking so much? You'll know when you go back and take a look." Then he grabbed Lava Dragon King and stood directly on top of the teleportation array. Space shook violently. When Yi Chun opened his eyes again, he discovered that he was on top of a dark red mountain. His surroundings were filled with a scorching aura. Even the sky was dyed red, and the air was filled with the smell of sulfur. Yi Chun frowned slightly. There was no spirit chi of heaven and earth in this world. Looking at the dark red clouds that stretched as far as the eye could see, Yi Chun knew that this must be the Nether Devil Realm. Lava Dragon King was trembling with excitement. He took 2 deep breaths of air, narrowed his eyes with intoxication, and said affectionately, Ha! This is the smell of home. I'm finally back. Yi Chun turned around and put the teleportation array into his small world. As long as he was willing to take it out, he could activate the teleportation array and teleport back. The coordinates of that place had been recorded, and this was a one-way teleportation array. It would be automatically scrapped after one use, so there was no need to leave any hidden dangers. Lava Dragon King had returned to his original size. He said to Yi Chun, "Your Majesty, I'll take you to my tribe as a guest." Feeling Lava Dragon King's eagerness to return home, Yi Chun smiled and jumped directly on his back. Then a gust of wind blew past. Lava Dragon King rose into the air and sped in a direction as fast as lightning. A transparent energy shield automatically appeared on Yi Chun's body. The hot wind around him couldn't even blow up a corner of his clothes. At the same time, Yi Chun's huge divine sense covered the whole area, deeply understanding the situation of the Nether Devil Realm. As soon as he went deeper, Yi Chun found that the living environment of the Nether Devil Realm was really very bad. The resources here were very poor. The various races were constantly fighting for resources and slaves. Yi Chun also discovered a large number of nether mantises here. However, the nether mantises here were not under Blackie's control. Moreover, in the nether demonic realm, the nether mantises here were all incomparably huge and had extremely shocking battle prowess. The other creatures of the Nether Devil Realm were also full of the characteristics of this place. They were gray and covered in a kind of black fog, and their blood-red eyes were full of brutality and bloodlust. In a short journey, Yi Chun found more than a dozen scenes of life and death battles. About half an hour later, Lava Dragon King stopped above a big canyon. Then, the Lava Dragon King's aura became extremely violent and unstable. He trembled slightly, as if he was going to collapse at any time. Yi Chun looked at the big canyon that looked like ruins and frowned. He already had some guesses in his heart. After Lava Dragon King let out a long roar in the sky, he crazily rushed towards the big canyon. When they landed, they found that the big canyon had been abandoned for a long time. It was full of black and gray plants, and there was no aura of Lava Dragon Clan. After Yi Chun found Lava Dragon King's decadent appearance, he comforted him and said, "Don't be too sad. After all, you haven't been back for tens of thousands of years. Maybe you remember the wrong place. Look carefully." Chapter 1471. The Lava Dragon King took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. After a long time, he bitterly smiled and said, "Don't try to comfort me. I grew up here. How could I remember it wrongly? Your Majesty, do you see the huge platform? I usually like to practice on that platform." The stone statue next to it was also one from other tribes. "My tribe is in trouble." Yi Chun knew that comforting him was useless, so he directly kicked him and said coldly, "Then why are you still talking nonsense? Stand up like a man, find out who did it, and take revenge." The Lava Dragon King quickly raised its huge head and roared with a ferocious expression. "That's right, I want revenge." At this moment, Yi Chun suddenly frowned and said coldly, "There is a small dragon spying 50 miles to the north. Go and catch him." The Lava Dragon King instantly disappeared with a gust of wind. When he reappeared, his huge claws were holding a small red dragon that was no more than 300 meters long, struggling desperately. Just like the Lava Dragon King, the small dragon's body was also covered in flames, but it was much weaker than the Lava Dragon King. The Lava Dragon King lowered his huge head and asked fiercely, "Little one, what are you doing? Why are you secretly spying on me? If you don't make it clear, I will swallow you." The small dragon was pale with fright and answered with fear, "Who is spying on you? This is the territory of our Blackstone tribe. You two outsiders suddenly came to this canyon. Of course I have to watch you." The Lava Dragon King was so angry that he laughed, and his eyes became quite dangerous. He gnashed his teeth and said, "You just said this is the territory of your Blackstone tribe? This was utter nonsense. Bullish asterisk T. This is clearly our Ashes tribe's territory." The Lava Dragon King's expression was ferocious. He involuntarily tightened his claws, making the small dragon cry out as if he would be torn apart at any time. The small dragon hurriedly begged for mercy. "Your Excellency, please don't be angry. This small dragon was born less than 100 years ago. Since I can remember, this is the territory of our Blackstone tribe. I have never heard of the Ashes tribe. Maybe the elders in our tribe have heard of it. Why don't you go back to the Blackstone tribe and ask?" The Lava Dragon King angrily roared. "Then what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for me to kick your ass? Quickly take me back to your tribe. If I find out that the disappearance of my tribe is related to your Blackstone tribe, I will kill you all." The little dragon quickly agreed and nodded its head like it was pounding garlic. It was very obedient. It seemed like it had admitted defeat. Only Yi-chan was sharp enough to notice a trace of craftiness in the little dragon's eyes. Just as he expected, the small dragon was sneering in his heart. He was laughing at the Lava Dragon King's arrogance. Even if he was powerful, he wouldn't be able to control himself in the Blackstone tribe. The elders of the Blackstone tribe were about the same size as the Lava Dragon King. No matter how powerful the Lava Dragon King was, it wouldn't be able to defeat so many elders. At that time, after capturing this arrogant fellow, he would be able to take his revenge and complain. This little dragon's mental activity was very interesting. He even thought of how to deal with the Lava Dragon King. He couldn't help but secretly laugh. This made Yi-chan quite speechless. Sure enough, the Lava Dragon King, who was in a bad mood, noticed that the little dragon was secretly giggling. It angrily slapped the dragon's head and said, "Idiot, what the F***CK are you giggling about? Hurry up and lead the way." This slap was so powerful that it directly flipped the little dragon over. His whole body trembled as he got up. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Lava Dragon King's slap almost took away half of his life. This time, the small dragon became a lot more obedient. His speed was also a lot faster. However, the resentment in his eyes was even more intense. Not long after, they arrived at a huge canyon. This canyon was about the same size as the Lava Dragon King's tribe. On both sides of the canyon, there were caves after caves. Countless small fire dragons were entrenched there, playing around. When the Lava Dragon King entered, it attracted the attention of the surrounding people. The small dragon took advantage of the Lava Dragon King's inattention and ran forward. Then he screamed, "Help! Enemies are invading!" The Lava Dragon King and Yi-chan looked at the small dragon with contempt. They didn't stop him at all. This time, they came here to ask clearly, so there was no need to be secretive. At this time, there were countless powerful auras coming from all directions. Many lava dragons were floating in the air, staring at the Lava Dragon King with an unfriendly expression. Since Yi-chan was here, the Lava Dragon King naturally wasn't afraid. He was a little tyrannical as he took a step forward and roared, "Who's in charge of the Blackstone tribe? Get out here and answer me." The Lava Dragon King's voice was like thunder. It caused a violent vibration in the canyon. Many weaker lava dragons even covered their ears and rolled around in pain. Impudent! With a roar, the influence of the Lava Dragon King's voice was quickly dispelled. A majestic voice sounded. "Where did this wild dragon come from? How dare you behave so atrociously in my Blackstone tribe? Are you tired of living?" Then, an old dragon about the same size as the Lava Dragon King appeared in the canyon. He looked at the two uninvited guests with an unfriendly expression. The Lava Dragon King and Yi-chan looked at each other and got a hint from Yi-chan's eyes. Suddenly, the Lava Dragon King roared, "Looks like you're in charge here. Then stop talking nonsense. Let's fight first." Then, the Lava Dragon King threw caution to the wind and suddenly pounced on the old dragon. The two sides instantly started fighting. The Lava Dragon King was a veteran. Its cultivation had reached the peak of Daluo Jinshin's level. It had swallowed countless good things in the mythological world. The old dragon was no match for it all. Although they were about the same size, in less than 100 rounds, the old dragon's neck was firmly grabbed by the Lava Dragon King and pressed under its feet. When the other lava dragons saw this, they immediately roared crazily. In an instant, hundreds of lava dragons over 10,000 feet in size rushed towards them. Yi Chen's eyes flashed with a dangerous light. He let out a cold snort. A cold, murderous aura spread in all directions. Suddenly, the hundreds of lava dragons trembled at the same time. They felt a terrifying, murderous aura shrouding them. If they took another step forward, they would most likely die on the spot. Therefore, the hundreds of lava dragons froze in place and didn't dare to move. Chapter 1472. The old fire dragon was still roaring, "Bastard! I'm the chief of the Black Stone tribe. Our tribe is under the protection of the Green Fire tribe. Do you want to bear the wrath of the Green Fire tribe?" The Lava Dragon King was furious. It suddenly exerted force with its claws, and the old fire dragon's head was immediately stomped into the hard rock. The strong sense of suffocation made the old fire dragon struggle desperately. The Lava Dragon King's nose and ears were emitting sparks. He gnashed his teeth and roared, "You damn old man, I ask you one question, and you answer one question. If you dare to say half a word of nonsense, I'll swallow you whole." When the old fire dragon was brought out again, he looked around and saw his subordinates trembling under Yi Chen's pressure. Finally, he became obedient. The old fire dragon swallowed hard, looked at the Lava Dragon King cautiously, and said in fear and trepidation, "Your Excellency, don't be impulsive. Let's talk nicely. Ask whatever you want to know. I'll tell you everything I know, and I'll tell you everything I know. Let me ask you, where did the people of the Ashes tribe go? Why did it become the territory of the Black Stone tribe? Were you the ones who killed them?" Ashes tribe. The old fire dragon was taken aback. His eyes rolled, and then he asked tentatively, "May I ask who your Excellency is in the Ashes tribe?" "I'm the former chief of the Ashes tribe, Ashes Rainstorm." Yi Chen was stunned for a moment. He glanced at the Lava Dragon King. It was the first time he knew his name. He was too lazy to ask before, but he didn't expect that he would have such a strange name. The old fire dragon was obviously taken aback, and then he subconsciously said, "You're the useless chief of the Ashes tribe who was cuckolded by his fiancée? Haven't you exiled yourself to the endless void? Why did you come back?" Just as he said that, the old dragon felt that something bad was about to happen. Sure enough, after the Lava Dragon King heard this, its eyes turned red as it roared and tore off one of the old dragon's hind legs. Suddenly, hot blood splashed everywhere as the old dragon howled in pain. As for the other fire dragons of the Blackstone tribe, they were so angry that they wanted to rush over. However, Yi Chen's aura kept suppressing them until they couldn't breathe. Every step they took was like facing the threat of death. Yi Chen looked at the Lava Dragon King with sympathy. He did not expect this guy to be so pitiful. After leaving the Nether Devil Realm and entering the Chaotic Continent, he was pinned in the Misty Swamp. If he had not met Yi Chen, this guy might not have had the chance to come back in this lifetime. After venting, the Lava Dragon King's anger almost dissipated. He stared coldly at the old fire dragon who kept howling and said ferociously, "Old man, you talk too much nonsense. Should I really pull out your tongue? I don't believe that other than you, no one else knows the whereabouts of the Ashes tribe." The old fire dragon immediately stopped howling, but the sharp pain in his body still made him tremble in pain. He said in a low voice, "Your Excellency, please spare my life. I'm old and muddle-headed. I shouldn't have said such nonsense. But your Ashes tribe really has nothing to do with me. It was all done by the Green Fire tribe. Your fiancée. No, that bitch female dragon. She married Green Fire Haoyun, the son of the chief of the Green Fire tribe. Under the instigation of that bitch female dragon, Green Fire Haoyun declared war on your Green Fire tribe. Because you were not there, your tribe was no match for the Green Fire tribe at all, so you were defeated directly. All the people of the Ashes tribe became slaves of the Green Fire tribe. Now, whether they're alive or dead is not something a useless old fire dragon like me can understand. After being provoked, the Lava Dragon King could no longer bear it. He roared angrily to the sky, "Damn the Green Fire tribe, damn Green Fire Haoyun, and that bitch female dragon. If I don't eat you alive, I swear I'm not a dragon." After roaring, the Lava Dragon King lifted the old fire dragon up and put his head in front of his face. He gnashed his teeth and said, "Take me to the territory of the Green Fire Tribe, or I'll kill you right now." The old fire dragon said in a trembling voice, "No, if the Green Fire Tribe knows I'm the one leading the way, our Blackstone tribe will be finished. I don't care so much. If you don't lead the way, your Blackstone tribe will be finished now. I promise no one will be left alive." The old fire dragon looked very conflicted. He seemed to have made a difficult decision. He gritted his teeth and said, "Fine, then I'll go all out. After showing you the way, I'll announce that I'm leaving the tribe. I'll take all the blame alone." Old Chief. The other fire dragons saw that the old fire dragon was humiliated and roared with righteous indignation. They even wanted to risk their lives to fight. The old fire dragon said dejectedly, "Let's go, sir. I'll lead the way for you. I hope you won't vent your anger on the innocent people. They don't know anything." Just as the Lava Dragon King was about to leave with the old fire dragon to take revenge on the Green Fire Tribe, Yichun suddenly sneered. He waved his hand and said, "Stop." The old fire dragon stopped subconsciously. He turned his head to look at the Lava Dragon King and then at Yichun. He was a little confused. Since when did humans exist in the Nether Devil world? And they seem to have come together with the Ashes rainstorm. The Lava Dragon King also looked at Yichun in confusion. He said in a muffled voice, "Master, please don't stop me. The hatred of the extermination of my tribe is absolutely irreconcilable. I must go to the Ashes tribe to take revenge. Otherwise, even if I die, my soul will not rest in peace." Yichun looked at him mockingly and said disdainfully, "Brainless idiot, I don't care if you die or not. But if you die, who will help me find a way to solve the fertility problem of the dragons and phoenixes?" The Lava Dragon King suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He said sadly, "Master, please be merciful and let me take revenge. If I'm lucky enough to come back alive, I'll do my best for His Majesty." Yichun shook his head helplessly. He stepped forward and said coldly, "Get out of here. You idiot, you've been tricked. You still think it's true." The Lava Dragon King was stunned. He asked subconsciously, "What do you mean, Master? Does this old guy dare to lie to me?" Yichun ignored him. Instead, he looked at the old fire dragon and said, "You're good at acting. You know some of the past to the Ashes rainstorm. You made it up on the spot to stimulate his mind and then divert the trouble. I'll give you a chance to tell me who's behind this." Chapter 1473. The old dragon's eyes suddenly became much more vicious. He stared at Yichun and said, "Who the hell are you? I don't understand what you're talking about. Everything I just said is true." Yichun shook his head and said regretfully, "Stubborn thing. I gave you a chance, but unfortunately, you didn't cherish it. Don't blame me for what happens next." After saying that, Yichun suddenly pressed his palm on the old dragon's forehead. The surging energy entered the mind of the old dragon in an instant and blasted the defensive power in his head into smithereens like a hot knife through butter. This was Yichun's plan, soul search. The moment Yichun began to soul search, the old dragon's head immediately howled in pain. His body rolled back and forth on the ground, and the scales on his body fell off piece by piece. His flesh and blood were flying everywhere. Obviously, he was in extreme pain. The other fire dragons of the Blackstone tribe could not stand up at all under the pressure of Yichun's power. They could only watch as the old dragon was tortured to death. After seeing this scene, how could the Lava Dragon King not understand what was going on? He had been deceived. His face was gloomy, filled with self-blame and shame. He did not expect that he would be used by this cunning old dragon in his impulsiveness. If Yichun had not discovered the strangeness, he would have been diverted by the other party. Even if he died, he would not be able to avenge his tribe. After about the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Yichun found what he was looking for in the old dragon's spiritual sense. This kind of tyrannical soul-searching had completely destroyed the old dragon's brain. Now, the old dragon had become an idiot. Yichun clapped his hands and said to the Lava Dragon King, "Get it straight. It was someone else who destroyed your Ashes tribe. It was not the Green Fire tribe, but the even more powerful Sky Sword tribe. The reason is very simple. Someone discovered that there was an extremely precious top-grade fire essence in the territory of your Ashes tribe. Therefore, your Ashes tribe was directly wiped out. What's interesting is that the old dragon of the Blackstone tribe was the one who discovered that the Ashes tribe had the highest grade fire spiritual crystal and reported it to the Heavenly Sword tribe. He personally led the way and destroyed the Ashes tribe. The Lava Dragon King naturally believed Yi Chen's words because Yi Chen had no reason to lie to it. After understanding the cause and effect of the matter, the Lava Dragon King let out an extremely painful roar and smashed the old dragon's head with its claw. He gritted his teeth and turned his head to look at Yi Chen, asking, "Your Majesty, what about the other people in the Blackstone tribe? Should we kill them all?" Yi Chen frowned and took a look. He said coldly, "It would be a pity to kill him just like that. Why don't we just bring him back and give our Samsara legions, soldiers, an extra meal?" Then a gust of wind surged and swept through the entire Blackrock tribe. These fire dragons roared, but they were swept up into the sky by a huge tornado without any resistance. Then Yi Chen waved his big sleeve and kept them in the small world. Yi Chen also sent a message to the alchemists in the small world to use and experiment with these fire dragons to see if they could use their bodies and blood to create new elixirs. The Lava Dragon King couldn't help but shiver when he saw this. Although he also hated these guys from the Blackstone tribe, he also felt deeply sorry for them when he saw them end up like this. Falling into the hands of those terrifying alchemists, these fire dragons might not be able to die even if they wanted to. After doing all that, Yi Chen's vast divine sense enveloped the entire Blackstone tribe's lair. Then, he shook his head regretfully. This place was truly barren. There was nothing valuable here. Even the ores and weapons within the tribe were not worth his attention. As for the old dragon's memories, those top-grade fire spirits were good items. Yi Chen was not even interested in them. However, the highest grade fire spiritual crystal vein under the Ashes tribe had already been dug up by the Sky Sword tribe. At this moment, the Lava Dragon King lowered his head and came to Yi Chen. He asked, "Master, I was too impulsive before. What should we do next?" Yi Chen looked at him angrily and said, "What else can we do? Naturally, it's an eye for an eye for an eye." The Lava Dragon King said, "But the Sky Sword tribe should be very powerful. If it's just the two of us, we might not be their match." Yi Chen looked at him and deliberately asked, "So what? Will you give up on the hatred of the tribe if you are not their match? Then, you'll leave with me and pretend that nothing happened?" The Lava Dragon King glared and said angrily, "Of course not." Speaking of this, he knelt heavily on the ground and said to Yi Chen, "Master, please help me. I know you are smart. You must have a way." Yi Chen waved his sleeves and immediately flew into the sky. The Lava Dragon King did not understand his plan and could only follow Yi Chen. Seeing Yi Chen flying in a direction, the Lava Dragon King asked in a low voice, "Master, where are we going?" Yi Chen said without looking back, "The Green Fire Tribe." The Lava Dragon King was stunned and said subconsciously, "Why are we going to the Clear Lake Tribe? Didn't you say that the old dragon was spouting nonsense and was trying to divert the trouble away?" Of course, it's the old dragon's scheme, but the Green Fire Tribe is not innocent. This time we're going to divert the trouble and drive the tiger to devour the wolf. Yi Chen was extremely fast. He already knew the specific location of the Green Fire Tribe and the Sky Sword Tribe from the old dragon's memory. So he arrived above the Green Fire Tribe without any twists and turns. Coincidentally, the Green Fire Tribe was very lively. Yi Chen and the shrunken Lava Dragon King were on a white cloud. With his powerful mind, Yi Chen quickly understood what was going on below. It turned out that today was the day that the Green Fire Tribe's leader, Green Fire Ninetails, was marrying off his youngest daughter. The Green Fire Tribe and the most powerful tribe in thousands of miles were united by marriage. Today, a large number of experts gathered in the Green Fire Tribe. The Thunder Tribe sent more than 300 experts to marry the Green Fire Ninetails' youngest daughter, Green Fire Blue Charm. The Green Fire Ninetails was in a very good mood today and kept laughing. The Green Fire Tribe was not weak. After the marriage with the Thunder Tribe, their strength would rise to another level. Chapter 1474. Lava Dragon King also looked down at the bustling Green Fire Tribe. He didn't know what Yi Chan was planning to do. However, seeing the bustling Green Fire Tribe, Lava Dragon King couldn't help but feel a little depressed. At this moment, he suddenly saw Yi Chan turn around and look at him with interest. This made Lava Dragon King's body tense up, and he felt a chill in his heart. Yi Chan said, "I learned from the old dragon's memory that the Heavenly Sword Tribe's fire dragons are a group of black fire dragons. They are different from your current appearance. Come, let me help you disguise yourself." Then Yi Chan waved his hand. Suddenly, countless nether demon chi was released from Yi Chen's hand and directly shrouded Lava Dragon King. Lava Dragon King didn't dare to move. He could only let Yi Chan do whatever he wanted on his body. Then, the Lava Dragon King miraculously discovered that its body had undergone a huge change. The originally shining golden scales had turned black and gold. A domineering and strange black and golden color had appeared. By the way, Lava Dragon King's aura had become completely different from before. It was more evil and domineering. Yi Chen even played around with the Lava Dragon King's head for a while, and two huge horns immediately grew out of the Lava Dragon King's head. Yi Chen looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction. He nodded and said, "Very good. Your current appearance is no different from those famous experts of the Heavenly Sword Tribe. In a while, you'll follow behind me. Remember, don't talk. When I tell you to attack, you attack." Lava Dragon King now completely obeyed Yi Chen's instructions. He immediately nodded his huge head. He knew that his brain wasn't as good as Yi Chen's, so he simply listened to Yi Chen's instructions. Yi Chen took out a huge black robe from somewhere and covered himself completely. From the outside, it was impossible to see what Yi Chen's body was. Moreover, this huge black robe was very strange. Even Lava Dragon King couldn't penetrate his divine sense at such a close distance. Just like that, Yi Chen slowly floated up into the air. His body gradually emitted an extremely evil and powerful aura. "What are you waiting for? Come with me to steal the bride." The Lava Dragon King suddenly discovered that Yi Chen's voice had become extremely hoarse and cold. Just hearing this voice made people feel a chill in their bones. In the Green Fire Tribe, Cyan Fire Ninetails and the First Elder of the Thunder Tribe were sitting on the highest thrones. The Great Elder said arrogantly, "Chief Green Fire, this marriage alliance with the Thunder Tribe is the wisest decision you've made. With the help of the Thunder Tribe, the Green Fire Tribe will soon become the strongest tribe in the area." The Blue Fire Nine-Tailed Beast was secretly unhappy. Although everyone knew about this matter, everyone had a tacit understanding. The Great Elder of the Thunder Tribe clearly didn't put in his eyes by bringing this matter out in the open. However, there was nothing they could do about it. Who asked the Thunder Tribe to be stronger? Perhaps in the entire region, other than the Sky Sword Tribe, no other tribe could compete with the Thunder Tribe. The Cyan Fire Ninetails laughed and immediately changed the topic. He said with a smile, "My little girl has been pampered and spoiled since childhood. She's been willful since she was young. I hope you can forgive her after she marries into your tribe." The Great Elder of the Thunder Tribe said with a fake smile, "Chief Green Fire, you think too much. Our Thunder Tribe is a big tribe that respects rules. There are many willful little female dragons in small tribes like yours. Don't they all become well-behaved in the end?" The Cyan Fire Ninetails' face immediately darkened. He was already cursing in his heart. "I'm being modest with you, but you're being arrogant. Just you wait. When the Green Fire Tribe becomes strong, I'll deal with you." Therefore, the Cyan Fire Ninetails simply stopped talking to avoid getting angry. The Great Elder of the Thunder Tribe also didn't take the initiative to talk to him. Therefore, the situation became very awkward. On the other side, the young master of the Thunder Tribe, Justice, was staring at the little princess of the Green Fire Tribe, Cyan Fire Blue Charm, with a smitten expression. From the perspective of the Fire Dragon clan, the Cyan Fire Blue Demoness was indeed a beauty. Every scale on her slender dragon body was of equal length, and the silver light was simply intoxicating. Moreover, her dragon teeth were neat and tidy, so white that they were glowing. The blue succubus also looked at the young master of the Thunder Tribe shyly. Although she knew that this guy was a playboy and had already married several women in his family, and she would be his concubine if she married him, she could not resist the Thunder Tribe's wealth. She heard that they even used the fire crystal spirit stone to cultivate. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura descended from the sky. A hoarse voice suddenly resounded through the entire Green Fire Tribe. Hee, it's so lively here. It turns out that the Green Fire Tribe and the Thunder Tribe have a marriage alliance. Why didn't you send an invitation to the Sky Sword Tribe? Are you looking down on us? Or are you scheming against each other? As he spoke, a guy shrouded in a black robe descended from the sky. The terrifying aura was emitted from him. Immediately after, a black fire dragon over 10,000 meters in length also appeared here, shaking its head and wagging its tail. The chief of the Green Fire Tribe, Cyan Fire Ninetails, and the great elder of the Thunder Tribe stood up immediately and stared ahead with ugly expressions. Although they couldn't see what was shrouded in the black robe, the characteristics of the Lava Dragon King couldn't be more obvious. Cyan Fire Ninetails said in a low voice with an ugly expression, "Great Elder, what's going on? Why did the experts of the Sky Sword Tribe suddenly come here?" The great elder of the Thunder Tribe looked livid and scolded in a bad mood. "Nonsense. How would I know if you ask me?" The great elder's figure flashed and appeared in front of Yichun. He said coldly, "I don't care who you are. Today is the big day of the little princess of the Thunder Tribe and the Green Fire Tribe. Get out. You're not welcome here." Under the black robe, two cold rays of light suddenly shot out. Yichun's hoarse voice sounded, "You want me to get out? Old thing, are you tired of living?" Then without any warning, a powerful chi was released. The Thunder Tribe's great elder was caught off guard. He immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and was sent flying more than 10 meters away. A large part of his dragon scales was knocked off, and he was dripping with blood. Even his bones were broken. Yichun reached out and grabbed the little princess of the Green Fire Tribe and the young master of the Thunder Tribe. Yichun glanced at them and threw the Cyan Fire Blue Demon to the ground in disdain. Chapter 1475. With lightning speed, he placed a restriction on the young master of the Thunder Tribe, then threw him onto the back of the Lava Dragon King. Yichun laughed and said, "This little female dragon looks good, but my young master doesn't like female dragons. I'll bring the young master of the Thunder Tribe back to warm my young master's bed." "Huh!" Then Yichun pushed his hands forward, and a terrifying storm swept across the surroundings. The Lava Dragon King didn't want to be left out either. Its huge body moved through the Green Fire Tribe in an instant. It swung its tail like a python, turning over. Suddenly, the buildings of the Green Fire Tribe collapsed. In an instant, the entire Green Fire Tribe fell into endless chaos. Cries and howls could be heard everywhere. In an instant, many clansmen of the Green Fire Tribe were smashed to the ground when the buildings collapsed. After a burst of arrogant laughter, Yichun soared into the sky. The Lava Dragon King seemed to have vented its anger. It grabbed the young master of the Thunder Tribe with one claw and soared into the sky in an extremely arrogant manner. Seeing this, the great elder of the Thunder Tribe was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. The little princess of the Green Fire Tribe was completely stunned. She was so shocked that she lost her memory and forgot how to react. After being stunned for a moment, she screamed and roared at the Blue Fire Ninetails hoarsely, "Father, what should we do? My fiancé was taken away." The Blue Fire Ninetails was livid with anger. Today was a great humiliation. His son-in-law was taken away on the day of his little daughter's marriage. Before he could speak, the Thunder Tribe's great elder had already crawled up from the ground, his entire body trembling. His face was ferocious, like an evil ghost. His two blood-red eyes were like two balls of solidified flame, emitting the most vicious and ruthless light in the world. The great elder of the Thunder Tribe's words seemed to come from the depths of hell. He gnashed his teeth and said, "Damn bastards of the Sky Sword Tribe. This is a public declaration of war. Send a message to the Thunder Tribe immediately. Tell them that the Sky Sword Tribe is going to war with us." And, speaking of this, he turned around and glared at the chief of the Greenfire Tribe, saying coldly, "Greenfire Ninetails, why are you still standing there? Immediately take all the adult warriors of your Greenfire Tribe and follow me to the Heavenly Sword Tribe. Bring our young master back. If anything happens to our young master, the entire Greenfire Tribe will be buried with him." The Blue Fire Ninetails' face turned ugly. However, this wasn't the time to be calculative. This was because he knew that the Thunder Tribe's young lord had an accident in their territory. If he was really injured, the Thunder Tribe would definitely vent their anger on them. Blue Fire Ninetails immediately gathered all the adult warriors in the tribe. A total of 2,000 fire dragons, under the lead of the Cyan Fire Ninetails and the Thunder Tribe's Grand Elder, quickly rose into the sky and chased after Yi Chun and the Lava Dragon King. Yi Chun deliberately didn't increase his speed. He was waiting for this group of fire dragons. Therefore, when he saw that they were about to catch up, Yi Chun and the Lava Dragon King increased their speed and led them through the sky. Yi Chun's target was the Heavenly Sword Tribe. He and the Lava Dragon King didn't hide their tracks at all. They just went straight for the Heavenly Sword Tribe. An hour later, they arrived in the sky above the Heavenly Sword Tribe. Yi Chun then released an infinite amount of black fog. In an instant, the black fog filled the space of several hundred li. The Lava Dragon King's huge body and the kid that he had just captured were all kept in the small space by Yi Chun in the blink of an eye. Yi Chun directly entered the Heavenly Sword Tribe and disappeared without a trace. At this moment, the Heavenly Sword Tribe suddenly saw an endless amount of nether demonic chi appear in the sky. They immediately became alert. Hundreds of valiant warriors rose into the sky. At this moment, the great elder of the Thunder Tribe and the Blue Fire Nine-Tailed Dragon King led more than 2,000 warriors and aggressively chased after them. One of the Sky Sword Tribe's commanders immediately shouted warily, "Bastard, stop right there. Don't go any further. Do you know whose territory this is?" However, the great elder of the Thunder Tribe had just seen Yi Chun and the Lava Dragon King disappear after entering the Heavenly Sword Tribe. He didn't doubt the identity of Yi Chun and the Lava Dragon King at all. This was because the Lava Dragon King had the characteristics of a member of the Heavenly Sword Tribe. The Thunder Tribe's great elder forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. He gnashed his teeth and roared, "Damned, shameless insects, scram to the side. I'm the Thunder Tribe's great elder. I'm warning you. Hand over the Thunder Tribe's young lord immediately. Otherwise, you will suffer the consequences of war." At this moment, a valiant aura soared into the sky from the Heavenly Sword Tribe. A bare-chested man with fiery red hair stood beside the man of the same age as him. He stared disdainfully at the great elder of the Thunder Tribe and mocked, "Old thing, who do you think you are? How dare you come to our Heavenly Sword Tribe and behave so atrociously? You must be tired of living. Get lost immediately." Seeing the man with fiery red hair before him, the great elder of the Thunder Tribe had a tinge of fear in his eyes. However, he still said furiously, "What do you mean? Are you not going to let him go? Is your Heavenly Sword Tribe prepared to suffer the wrath of our Thunder Tribe? Old thing, are you stupid? Let's not talk about the fact that we didn't see any bullshit, young lord. Even if we did capture him, so what? Your Thunder Tribe should have been annihilated long ago. Since you've delivered yourself to our doorstep and are so stubborn, then die." After the red-haired man roared, his body suddenly expanded and turned into a black gold dragon that was over 10,000 meters long. He bared his fangs and claws as he charged towards the great elder of the Thunder Tribe. The great elder of the Thunder Tribe was about to go crazy. After the red-haired man reverted to his original form, he looked exactly like the Lava Dragon King. He was almost certain that his young lord had been captured by these bastards from the Heavenly Sword Tribe. Both sides immediately clashed fiercely. This was the base camp of the Heavenly Sword Tribe. Countless warriors had already risen into the sky and were fighting with the people brought by the blue fire nine-tails. Instantly, the scene was filled with energy waves. The collision of energy waves caused the surroundings of the Heavenly Sword Tribe to turn upside down. Yichen didn't stay idle either. He took advantage of the chaos in the Heavenly Sword Tribe to envelop the entire Heavenly Sword Tribe with his powerful consciousness. His figure was like a ghost as he shuttled through the Heavenly Sword Tribe rapidly. Chapter 1476. Soon, Yichun discovered that behind a huge building of the Heavenly Sword Tribe, there were countless crystals emitting fiery energy in a heavily guarded warehouse. Even though there was an earth-shattering battle outside, there were still 20 powerful-looking experts of the Heavenly Sword Tribe guarding outside the warehouse. After sensing the surging and tyrannical energy inside, Yichen's lips curled up slightly. He somewhat understood that these so-called scorching crystals should be the top-grade fire crystals that they were talking about. These things were a specialty of the Nether Devil realm. They had never been seen in the Untainted Land. Although he didn't know what they were used for, since he was here, there was no reason to miss it. Yichen turned into a breeze and instantly flashed out of the door. One of the warriors of the Heavenly Sword Tribe rubbed his eyes doubtfully. He looked at his companions and asked, "Just now, I seemed to feel a shadow passing by. Did you see it? What nonsense are you talking about? There was nothing at all. Are you hallucinating because your body is too weak?" "Ah, that's right. I think so too. This kid has just married 3 women recently. He can't wait to die on their bellies." The warrior of the Yin tribe immediately blushed. However, he said proudly, "So what? If you have the ability, you can also take in more women. Speaking of which, it's really an honor to be a member of the Heavenly Sword Tribe. These little female dragons were all given to me by those small tribes. As long as I show the name of the Heavenly Sword Tribe when I go out, I can eat and play with them as I wish. Speaking of which, what's going on outside? Why did I hear that the Thunder Tribe and a small tribe called the Green Fire Tribe have come together? Is everything all right? Don't be so surprised. What can happen? I've never heard of that bullshit Green Fire Tribe. As for the Thunder Tribe, it's not worth mentioning. Moreover, this is our base camp. It won't be long before they have to run away with their tails between their legs." Hearing the conversation outside, Yichun just sneered. Then, his figure appeared in this huge warehouse. Like a drop of water that merged into the sea, Yichun was clearly standing there, but he gave off a feeling that he was one with the sea. This huge warehouse, which was hundreds of meters in length and width, was filled with piles of top-grade fire spiritual crystals. These top-grade fire crystals all emitted a mysterious and scorching aura. Waving his hand, a fist-sized, diamond-shaped top-grade fire crystal appeared in his hand. Although there were also fire elemental immortal stones in the mythological world, the two were clearly different. Not only were the structures different, even the level of energy was different. It seemed that these top-grade fire spiritual metals were more violent and violent. Yichen took a quick look and found there were about 200 million of them in the warehouse. With a flash of thought, he directly sent one of the extreme fire spiritual crystals into his small world so that the smithing masters and formation masters could look at each other. Before long, a few smithing masters and formation masters excitedly gave Yichun feedback, saying that the extreme fire spiritual crystal was very useful for their research. Some formation masters even patted their chests and told Yichun that as long as there were enough top-grade fire crystals, they could set up a formation that was more powerful than the immortal slaying sword formation and the cosmic stars formation. This surprised Yichun, and the corners of his mouth slowly curled up into a smile. He did not expect this to be an unexpected gain. It would not be long before the great war between witches and demons broke out in the Untainted Land. At that time, if the Samsara dynasty wanted to get a share of the loot, such a powerful formation was indispensable. Therefore, Yichun waved his sleeves, and a gust of wind rolled up from the ground. In the next moment, all the top-grade fire crystals in the warehouse disappeared into Yichun's small world. After a breath, the warehouse became even cleaner than if it had been licked by a dog. However, Yi Chen was still stroking his chin, as if he had not had enough. Of course, the more the better. Since the Heaven Sword tribe had so many top-grade fire crystals, the Thunder tribe, which was as powerful as them, must also have a storage of top-grade fire crystals. However, there was still something else to do. That was to interrogate the whereabouts of the Lava Dragon King's tribesmen. This was not difficult for Yi Chen. He took advantage of the chaos and casually captured a captive in the Thunder tribe. Without any nonsense, he directly used the soul-searching skill. Soon, Yi Chen found out that the Heaven Sword tribe had 2 huge mines of top-grade fire crystals under their name. The tribesmen of the small tribes that were conquered or destroyed by the Heaven Sword tribe were all locked up in the mines to excavate the top-grade fire crystals. The Heavenly Sword tribe's 2 supreme-grade spirit of fire or veins were heavily guarded thousands of miles away from them. After thinking for a while, Yi Chen released the Lava Dragon King and told him the result of the interrogation. The Lava Dragon King immediately expressed that he would go to the 2 mines to look for his tribesmen. "Master, you have helped me enough. Let me look for my tribesmen myself." Yi Chen agreed after thinking for a while. With the Lava Dragon King's current cultivation, there was almost no one who could take him down with absolute superiority. Even if the Lava Dragon King was not a match for him, he could still escape easily. Yi Chen took out a piece of top-grade fire crystal and said to the Lava Dragon King, "When you go to save your tribesmen, bring back all of these top-grade fire crystals. I want as many as you can find." Lava Dragon King nodded, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared. Yi Chen walked around the Heaven Sword tribe as if he had entered in no man's land. After finding nothing that interested him, he soared into the sky. Now, the battle between the 2 sides was even more intense. Originally, the 2,000 warriors of the Green Fire tribe were almost wiped out. However, at the critical moment, the reinforcements of the Thunder tribe arrived. The Thunder tribe sent more than 10,000 powerful warriors. Immediately, the sky above the Thunder tribe was turned upside down. Now, the 2 sides were in a killing frenzy. Therefore, there was no need for explanations or excuses. It was nothing more than a life-and-death battle. The 2 chiefs of the Thunder tribe and the Heaven Sword tribe were also fighting fiercely. These 2 were Daluo Jinxian peak experts. Their bodies were even bigger than the Lava Dragon King, and the energy in their bodies was pure. Yi Chen would have to put in some effort to defeat them. Looking at the 2 tribes fighting fiercely like 2 groups of fighting cocks, Yi Chen felt a chill run down his spine. Chapter 1477. Yi Chen, the instigator, smiled sinisterly. Suddenly, he thought that since the Thunder tribe had turned out in full force, their base must be empty. He might as well go to their base and plunder it. Therefore, Yi Chen crossed thousands of miles and soon appeared in the camp of the Thunder tribe. Indeed, the Thunder tribe only left behind a small number of warriors for defense. The rest were all old, weak, sick, and disabled. The remaining warriors of the Thunder tribe did not notice the arrival of Yi Chen, an uninvited guest. Yi Chen also found more than 100 million top-grade fire spirit crystals in their warehouse. Yi Chen shook his head. The Thunder tribe's reserves were far inferior to the Sky Sword tribe. This represented the difference in strength. He coldly looked at the remaining 10 to 20,000 old, weak, sick, and disabled warriors and the hundreds of elite warriors of the Thunder tribe. A trace of cruelty flashed in his eyes. These primitive races of the Nether Devil realm were a threat to the Wild Continent. These races of the Nether Devil realm were always thinking of invading the Wild Continent. Naturally, they would weaken their strength if they could. Therefore, Yi Chen waved his hand. The 300,000 plus nether mantises that he had obtained from Blackie suddenly appeared in a dense crowd. Like a black wave, the Thunder tribe began their mad slaughter from the moment they set foot in the Thunder tribe. Although the people of the Thunder tribe were also fire dragons, their fighting strength was too weak. After being pounced on by these small nether mantises, they were quickly divided and eaten. When the elite warriors noticed the huge change in the tribe, they immediately roared and rushed up. Unfortunately, they were instantly buried in the black wave. Some of the warriors howled crazily before they died. What's going on? Why are there so many nether mantises here? Why are they attacking us? Unfortunately, no one would answer them. These nether mantises had been devoured. After that, all the members of the Thunder Tribe doubled in size one after another. These nether mantises had passed through the fog swamp of the wild continent. After the gray fog had mutated, they were different from the native nether mantises of the nether devil realm. It seemed that they would eat anything. The entire Thunder Tribe, including the buildings, had been completely devoured by these nether mantises. The entire headquarters of the Thunder Tribe had been reduced to ruins. Although Yi Chun had come to the demonic nether realm to find a solution to the fertility problems of the Dragon and Phoenix clans, he felt that there was no need to be careful. Instead, he felt that the bigger the commotion, the better. It would be best if he could stir up a storm in the entire demonic nether realm. When the time came, he could take advantage of the turmoil to get what he wanted. In for a penny, in for a pound, Yi Chun commanded the 300,000 nether mantises to surge towards the Green Fire Tribe, not far away. The Green Fire Tribe was less than 300,000 miles away from the Thunder Tribe. With the speed of these nether mantises, they would arrive in less than 2 hours. Cyan Fire Ninetails led all the adult warriors of the tribe away from the Green Fire Tribe. Facing the attack of these hell mantises, they only put up a symbolic resistance before they were all devoured. Just like the Thunder Tribe, they also became a mess. It was worth mentioning that when Yi Chun coldly watched from the sky, he saw a pair of noble-looking fire dragons trying to rush out under the protection of a group of guards. Unfortunately, they did not succeed. After being surrounded by endless nether mantises, they were quickly devoured. Through various chaotic memories, Yi Chun knew that this pair of fire dragons, who seemed to have different statuses, were the son and daughter-in-law of Cyan Fire Ninetails. They were also the guy who had snatched the Lava Dragon King's woman. Although Yi Chun did not deliberately seek revenge on the Lava Dragon King, this was karma and retribution. At this moment, Yi Chun suddenly felt a spiritual fluctuation from his small world. It turned out that it was the spiritual fluctuation of the ancestral phoenix, who had entered his small world to recuperate after being seriously injured and unconscious. Yi Chun's lips curled into a smile as he recalled the ambiguous past between him and the ancestral phoenix. He waved his hand casually. After a flash of light, the graceful and magnificent ancestral phoenix appeared beside him. Yi Chun held the ancestral phoenix in his arms and looked at her passionately. He said, "You recovered so quickly?" The ancestral phoenix looked at Yi Chun with a little embarrassment. Being held in the arms of a man who was tens of thousands of years younger than her was still a little embarrassing. Although what should have happened had happened, the ancestral phoenix still could not get over it in her heart. She had been in seclusion in the small world to recuperate, but she knew everything that had happened in the outside world. She was very grateful to Yi Chun for everything he had done for the Phoenix clan. It was because of Yi Chun's existence that the Phoenix clan was not completely wiped out. The ancestral phoenix gently bit her lower lip like a little girl and whispered to Yi Chun, "The top-grade fire spirit crystals you send into the small world are very useful for my recovery. Can you give me some?" Yi Chun laughed. He raised his eyebrows and said to the ancestral phoenix, "You don't know how much effort I put in to get these things? But since you're my woman, it's okay to give you some. But how are you going to thank me?" The ancestral phoenix looked up blankly and asked, "How do you want me to thank you?" Yi Chun couldn't take it anymore when he saw Zhu Feng's provocative look. He picked her up in his arms. Then, as fast as lightning, he immediately appeared in a small tribe thousands of miles away. The fire dragons in the tribe suddenly roared. "Who dares to break into our tribe? Ha! It's actually 2 outsiders. Now we're in for a treat. Catch them." Yi Chun snorted coldly. They really don't know what's good for them. Then, an invisible force suddenly swept in all directions. Suddenly, the entire tribe was thrown into chaos. Then, an endless number of nether mantises appeared. Amidst the wailing of the fire dragons, Yi Chun broke into the hall of the patriarch with ancestral phoenix in his arms. The ancestral phoenix nervously pushed Yi-chun and said, "What are you doing?" Yi-chun only replied with one word, "Doing it." Then there was a burst of sound that made people blush. 2 hours later, the ancestral phoenix looked at Yi-chun with hidden bitterness. She really did not know why this guy was so strong. Just now, her body almost fell apart. Yi-chun did not let her down. After being fully released, he let the ancestral phoenix return to the small world. 1 million top-grade fire spirit crystals, and I can enjoy myself with a top-grade beauty like the ancestral phoenix. It's really worth it. Chapter 1478. Yi-chun still wanted to continue. At this moment, he suddenly felt the connection between him and the Lava Dragon King become restless. Yi-chun frowned and sensed the direction of the Lava Dragon King. It was coming from the Sky Sword Tribe's Luo. Thus, Yi-chun let out a roar and collected all the ghost mantises while he tore through space, traversing millions of li and appearing in the sky above the Heavenly Sword Tribe. The moment he appeared, he was attracted by the fierce battle ahead. At this moment, the Sky Sword Tribes and Thunder Tribes chiefs were crazily attacking the Lava Dragon King. As for the other warriors of the two tribes, they were watching from the side. Regardless of whether it was the Sky Sword Tribe or the Thunder Tribe, both of them had suffered huge losses. Especially the Thunder Tribe, they still didn't know that their nest had been destroyed. For the sake of their young master, they were crazily fighting the Sky Sword Tribe. The Sky Sword Tribe also realized that their warehouse had been emptied. Therefore, the Sky Sword Tribe's chiefs had a hard time explaining to the Thunder Tribe's chiefs. Only then did they understand that they had been set up. At this moment, the Mad Lava Dragon King crashed into the room. The reason was that when the Lava Dragon King rushed to the two top-quality fire crystal veins, he found that his tribesmen were all dead. They had all died from exhaustion while mining day and night. The Lava Dragon King was so angry that he lost his mind. He killed all the warriors guarding the two top-quality fire crystal veins. He didn't even let the slaves go. After devouring all of them, he decided to go to the Sky Sword Tribe for revenge. The moment the Lava Dragon King appeared, the Thunder Tribe's Grand Elder rushed out with his eyes wide open. He stared at the Lava Dragon King and roared, "It's him! It's him!" In the Green Fire Tribe, he and a mysterious person stole our young master. The Patriarch of the Heavenly Sword Tribe frowned as he stared coldly at the Lava Dragon King and said, "He is not from our Heavenly Sword Tribe. Little bastard, tell us honestly, who are you? Why are you framing us?" The Lava Dragon King roared crazily, "I am the chief of the Ashes Tribe, Ashes Rainstorm. You bastards have killed all of our clansmen. All of you must die." Hearing this, the chief of the Green Fire Tribe, Green Fire Nine Tails, felt his heart skip a beat. He looked Lava Dragon King up and down and couldn't help but say, "You're the trash whose woman was stolen by my son? Haven't you already exiled yourself? Why are you back?" The Lava Dragon King's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at the Cyan Fire Nine Tails and the Sky Sword Tribe leader. He said coldly, "The deaths of our tribesmen are all related to you. Each of you will pay the price." At this moment, the Patriarch of the Thunder Tribe asked anxiously, "Damn little bastard, where did you take my son? Hand it over right now." The Lava Dragon King laughed evilly, stared at the Thunder Tribe's chief, and said, "You're talking about that tender kid, right? I've already eaten it. It tastes pretty good." The Thunder Tribe's Patriarch's vision went dark. He immediately went crazy. After letting out a roar, he launched a storm of attacks towards the Lava Dragon King. The leader of the Sky Sword Tribe and the Green Fire Nine Tails would not sit by and watch. Hence, the two of them immediately joined the battle. Immediately, for massive dragons that were over 10,000 miles in size began to engage in a frenzy in the sky. Red dragon blood splattered everywhere. Dragon scales that looked like pot lids fell from the sky like snowflakes. The Lava Dragon King's strength wasn't much different from the Sky Sword Tribe leader and the Thunder Tribe leader. If he fought them alone, he might have a chance to survive. However, when facing the three of them, the Lava Dragon King gradually couldn't take it anymore. There were already dozens of deep wounds on his body. His bones could be seen. Blood was pouring out as if it didn't cost money. The leader of the Sky Sword Troop, Luo, roared coldly. "Little bastard, why don't you surrender now? Perhaps we can give you a quick death. Otherwise, just wait to be cut into pieces." Although he was very weak, the Lava Dragon King still looked fierce. He looked at the Jian tribe leader and sneered. "Kill me now if you have the guts. Don't worry, my master will avenge me. I guarantee that you will die 1,000 times worse than me." The Sky Sword tribe leader glared and sneered. "Who does your master think he is? Where is he? Get him out here and die with us." The Cyan Fire Ninetails also realized and said, "That's right. That's his accomplice. There was another mysterious person who appeared in our tribe. That must be his master. Say, where is your master?" At this moment, a clear voice suddenly sounded in the sky. "I heard that you were looking for me." Then, a terrifying aura suddenly descended from the sky. The Sky Sword tribe leader Luo, the Thunder tribe leader, and the Cyan Fire Nine Titans all felt their hearts shrink at the same time. They felt an extremely terrifying sense of crisis. At this moment, a gust of wind blew. The Lava Dragon King, who was surrounded by them and was about to die, suddenly disappeared. The three of them had turned their heads at the same time. They saw a figure in a green robe standing a few hundred feet away from them. The shrunken Lava Dragon King was lying at his feet obediently. The Lava Dragon King said weakly, "Master, I am ashamed for you." Yichen looked at him coldly and said, "Shut up, trash." Then, a few golden elixirs with powerful life essence flew from Yichen's hand into the Lava Dragon King's mouth. Suddenly, a surge of life energy rose from his body. The wounds on the Lava Dragon King's body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing that the Lava Dragon King's life was not in danger, Yichen was relieved. Then, Yichen turned around and stared coldly at the three tribe leaders. He said indifferently, "You three injured my servant. Tell me, how do you want to die?" The Thunder tribe leader immediately looked over fiercely. He gnashed his teeth and said, "Damn bastard, how dare you come to me? Today, I will cut you into pieces to avenge my son. I will hang your head on the chessboard of our tribe and expose it to the sun for 10,000 years." Yichen looked at the Thunder tribe leader with a playful smile and said, "You want to hang my head on the chessboard of your tribe and expose it to the sun for 10,000 years? If I'm not wrong, you're the Thunder tribe leader, right? It's a pity that your tribe was just wiped out by me. Not even a chicken or dog was left alive." Chapter 1479. What? You're lying. A trace of fear flashed through the eyes of the Thunder tribe's chief. He gritted his teeth and roared, "My Thunder tribe still has thousands of warriors. You can't have it your way." Yichen sneered and was too lazy to argue with him. With his hands behind his back, he raised his head proudly and said to the Cyan Fire Ninetails, "And your Cyan Fire tribe was also wiped out by me." The Cyan Fire Ninetails felt an arrogant, bloodthirsty, and cold aura from the man in front of him. Such a person disdained to lie, so he was already 70 to 80% convinced. The Cyan Fire Ninetails gritted his teeth and asked, "Did you really wipe out my family too?" Yichen said to him seriously, "It's true. Your son could have escaped, but unfortunately he was too slow." The Cyan Fire Ninetails' eyes turned red. He stared at Yichen angrily and scolded fiercely, "Damn bastard, what deep grudge does my Cyan Fire tribe have with you? Why did you wipe out my entire tribe?" Yichen suddenly burst into laughter. He stared at the Cyan Fire Ninetails with contempt and said mockingly, "What deep grudge do I need to wipe out your entire tribe? In the Netherworld Devil World, being weak was the greatest sin. Because your Cyan Fire tribe is too weak, I just wiped it out casually. Why do I need any excuses or grudges? And when your son snatched someone else's woman, did he also have any grudges with the other party?" The Cyan Fire Ninetails was stunned for a moment. Then, he trembled with anger and a fierce aura rose from his body. There was no doubt about it. His entire tribe was wiped out by this guy, and the reason why he did it was to avenge that damn ash rainstorm for snatching his wife. The Thunder Tribe's chief also recovered at this time. He stared at Yi Chun with trembling eyes and asked, "Did you really wipe out our Thunder Tribe's nest too?" Yi Chun glanced at him and said, "That's not important. What's important is that your 3 tribes will be completely removed from the netherworld from today onwards." With that, Yi Chun let out a clear whistle and soared into the sky. A set of battle armor automatically appeared on his body. He wore a phoenix-feathered purple gold crown, while she wore a pair of lotus silk cloud-walking shoes. She wore a golden chainmail and held the Rui Jingu Bang in her hand. Her entire body emitted a myriad of golden light, as though she was a god that had descended to the mortal world. Everyone's expression changed when they felt the majestic and awe-inspiring aura emanating from Yi Chun. The Patriarch of the Sky, Sword Tribe, narrowed his eyes. There was a dangerous look in his long and narrow golden pupils. "You're not from the Nether Devil realm. Judging from your aura, you're clearly a human from the Chaos world. Everyone, you must capture this person alive. We must find the passage to the Chaos world. If we can open up the passage to the Great Wasteland world, we will be completely rich." Yi Chun revealed a disdainful sneer. The reason why he was so arrogant as to reveal his true identity was because he was not afraid of it being exposed. This was because the 200,000 Nether Manuses had completely surrounded this place. He was certain that no one would be able to escape from this place alive. At this moment, the Patriarchs of the Sky Sword Tribe and Thunder Tribe, as well as the Green Fire Ninetails and a few other Daluo Jinxian level experts, had already charged towards Yi Chun. The subordinates behind them did not dare to be negligent. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they revealed themselves. Yi Chun laughed heartily as he waved the Rui Jingu Bang in his hand like a wheel. A sudden clap of thunder exploded on the flat ground. The sound of the wind followed the sound of the thunder. These experts from the Nether Devil realm were shocked. They could feel an extremely terrifying aura emanating from Yi Chun. Yi Chun raised the Rui Jingu Bang high up and smashed it down with the weight of Mount Tai. This strike carried more than a few million Jin of force. When the Rui Jingu Bang landed, it was as though the heavens and earth were falling apart. A terrifying gust of astral wind suddenly swept out in all directions. Rumble. Below them, the Sky Sword Tribe was in an uproar. Countless buildings collapsed. The tribesmen with weaker cultivations were smashed by the flying rocks and bruises. They were crying and howling. The entire Sky Sword Tribe looked as though doomsday had arrived. When the Patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe saw this, his eyes turned red from anger. He transformed into a huge black dragon that was more than 10,000 zhang long and swallowed Yi Chun. Instantly, the Patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe's huge mouth was like a bottomless black hole. A terrifying suction force wrapped around Yi Chun. Yi Chun could only feel a strong pulling force that wanted to suck him into the Patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe's mouth. Yi Chun's eyes of fire and gold immediately noticed something. The Patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe had already refined his body into a huge magic treasure. It was a self-proclaimed world in his body. Once he was swallowed, he would be completely melted away. However, at this moment, Yi Chun still had to face the Blue Fire Ninetails and the Patriarch of the Thunder Tribe. The warriors of the 2 tribes were attacking Yi Chun crazily. This was the hatred of the destruction of their tribes. They were absolutely irreconcilable. Although Yi Chun was confident, he wasn't arrogant. Facing the attacks of 3 Daluo Jinxian dragons, he still had to be careful. Suddenly, Yi Chun thought of the demon god that he had encountered in the desert. A strand of demon god had escaped from the body of a huge shark. Yi Chun had also been swallowed into his body. At the thought of this, Yi Chun's lips curled into a cold smile. Immediately after, he pretended to be flustered and staggered. Then he was uncontrollably swept up by the strong wind and swallowed into the Patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe's huge mouth. The moment he saw Yi Chun being swallowed, the Patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe immediately shut his mouth. It was as though 2 rows of tall city gates had been slammed shut. Yi Chun didn't resist. Just like that, He was pulled into the stomach of the patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe. Just as he had expected, the stomach of the patriarch of the Sky Sword Tribe was a world of its own. He had already refined it into a terrifying scene. Yichen landed on the ground with a plop. Holding the Rui Jingu Bang in his hand, he looked around. All he saw was an endless square. There were ravines in the square, and the surrounding air was filled with endless blood mist. He lifted his head and looked. The sky seemed to be very low. Gradually, Yichun felt that something was wrong. This was because he felt that the ground beneath his feet seemed to be moving. He focused his mind and observed carefully. Indeed, the ground beneath his feet was slowly rotating. When he lifted his head and looked into the distance, he saw that the sky in the distance was slowly falling at a stubborn and steady speed. Chapter 1480. In just a breath's time, Yichun realized that the sky was actually another gigantic ground. It was completely carved out of iron crystals, the same material as the ground he was standing on. The ground was evenly filled with grooves and was also constantly rotating. The ground and sky were rotating at the same frequency. Yichun immediately understood that the gigantic magic treasure in the Sky Sword Tribe leader's stomach was like a gigantic millstone. No matter what was swallowed, it would be ground into dust by this gigantic millstone and turned into the finest nutrients for the Sky Sword Tribe leader to absorb. Weren't the grooves on the ground the edges and corners of the millstone? Yichun sneered, trying to use the gigantic millstone to grind him into dust. How naive! Rise! 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 As Yichun chanted the incantation, the Rui Jingu Bang expanded with the wind. In an instant, it grew into a gigantic pillar that could support the heavens and earth. It just so happened to support the sky and ground. In the outside world, after the Sky Sword Tribe leader swallowed Yichun, he finally burped in satisfaction. Although the Sky Sword Tribe had suffered great losses, Yichun's cultivation was so high. After devouring him, the Sky Sword Tribe leader's cultivation would definitely soar. Since the Thunder Tribe was already crippled, there was no one within a radius of a few thousand miles that could pose a threat to him. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before the Sky Sword Tribe grew stronger. At this moment, the Thunder Tribe leader and the Green Fire Ninetails were both staring at him with flickering eyes. The Thunder Tribe leader said coldly, "You have to make sure that the kid's soul is completely destroyed. That kid came from the Void Continent. Since he could break through the passageway and enter our world, he must have some means that we don't know of. Don't fail miserably." The Sky Sword Tribe leader laughed maniacally. This is really the first time in millions of years. Even the Thunder Tribe leader knows how to care for me? Haha, but you don't have to worry. No matter what abilities this thief has, as long as he enters my stomach, he will be ground into pieces by the heaven and earth millstone. At this point, the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe stared maliciously at the chiefs of the Cyan Fire Ninetails and Thunder Tribe and said, "If the two of you are worried, why don't you enter my stomach and take a look?" As an old rival of many years, the Thunder Tribe's chief would not be fooled. He coldly snorted and said, "Today's fierce battle between you and me was provoked by this damned outsider. Now, both your tribe and my tribe have suffered heavy losses. Why don't we stop here?" Cyan Fire Ninetails narrowed his eyes and stood behind the chief of the Thunder Tribe. He was originally a vassal of the chief of the Thunder Tribe. Now that the Cyan Fire Tribe was exterminated, he no longer had the right to speak. The chief of the Sky Sword Tribe laughed heartily. Although the Sky Sword Tribe had suffered heavy losses, it was still much better than the Thunder Tribe and Green Fire Tribe that had been exterminated. After all, the Sky Sword Tribe still had a large number of tribesmen. There were also close to 1,000 elite warriors. The chief of the Sky Sword Tribe stared at the chief of the Thunder Tribe and Cyan Fire Ninetails and said, "The two of you have nowhere to go now. Why don't you join our Sky Sword Tribe? Don't worry, I can keep your original surnames. If you feel that the time is right, you can leave at any time. What do you think?" The conditions proposed by the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe could be said to be very generous. However, as an old rival of the Thunder Tribe, The chief of the Thunder Tribe knew better than anyone that this fellow had ulcers on his head and pus on his feet. Not a single word of his could be trusted. However, it was clear that the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe saw them as a thorn in his side. If they did not agree today, this bastard would not let them leave so easily. This was because the elite warriors of the Sky Sword Tribe had already surrounded them with malicious intentions. Just as the chief of the Thunder Tribe was about to say something, the chief of the Thunder Tribe suddenly changed his expression. The expression of the patriarch of the Heavenly Sword Tribe suddenly changed. His face became incomparably distorted and ashen. His eyes were bloodshot as he clutched his stomach and rolled in the sky in pain. Shrill cries of agony came from his mouth. The chief of the Thunder Tribe and Cyan Fire Nine Tails exchanged glances. They could tell at a glance that something was wrong with the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe. It was probably caused by the swallowing of that brat. At this moment, Yi-chan was sitting on a recliner with his legs crossed leisurely in the body of the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe. The Rui Jingu Bang was like a pillar that supported the heavens and earth. No matter how the great millstone of heaven and earth revolved, the Jingu Bang remained upright without bending. In the middle of the millstone, there was an endless number of nether mantises. These nether mantises usually lived on various ores. The iron essence stones that formed the great millstone of heaven and earth could not stop them at all. Therefore, these nether mantises were like gluttons. They devoured the iron essence stones in the body of the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe. Countless nether mantises were crawling on the two huge millstones. They devoured the iron essence stones as easily as humans with good teeth munching on apples. These nether mantises were eating to their heart's content. However, the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe was out of luck. The great millstone of heaven and earth was formed by the various types of chi in his body. These nether mantises seemed to be gnawing on his organs. Judging from the energy in his body, he could no longer maintain the operation of the great millstone of heaven and earth. The chief of the Sky Sword Tribe vomited nonstop. He channeled his energy and created gusts of wind in his abdomen. He wanted to expel Yi-chan from his body. It was a pity that Yi-chan was like a stabilizing force. He was as steady as Mount Tai. Yi-chan sneered in his heart. "Since you've swallowed me, you want me to leave? It's not that easy. I won't leave until I've eaten you clean today." Yi-chan could not help but recall the single-horned shark in the desert. After the mantises finished gnawing on the shark's organs, Yi-chan brought the entire shark back to the sacred city of Samsara and let the warriors of the Samsara Legion have a good meal. However, the fire dragon from a nether devil realm was not a big deal. Who knew if there were any toxins in his body? He might as well just let these nether mantises eat him to death. In the outside world, the chief of the Sky Sword Tribe had gone completely mad. He was rolling around in the sky in pain. The energy in his body was pouring out in all directions. His eyes were red. He had lost all rationality and was crazily tearing everything in front of him apart. Chapter 1481. Some of the concerned loyal subordinates went forward but were torn to shreds by the frenzied Sky Sword Tribe leader. No one dared to approach within a radius of a few hundred jong. The Sky Sword Tribe leader, who had lost his mind, turned around abruptly and pounced toward his own tribe, tearing everything apart in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, the entire Sky Sword Tribe was slaughtered. Blood flowed like a river, and corpses were strewn everywhere. Instantly, the eyes of all the surviving warriors turned red. After all, their loved ones were among those killed by the tribe leader. Instantly, these elite warriors banded together in an attempt to stop the Sky Sword Tribe leader's frenzied actions. "Lord Tribe Leader, please wake up. Take a look at what you're doing. Our tribesmen are about to be slaughtered by you. Have you gone mad? Lord Tribe Leader, please wake up. We can't hold on any longer. Is our Sky Sword Tribe going to be annihilated today?" A few old elders of the Sky Sword Tribe cried. They knelt on the ground in grief and cried out helplessly. The Thunder Tribe leader and the Green Fire Ninetails exchanged glances and saw the fear in each other's eyes. Without a doubt, This was the doing of that brat from the untainted world. Therefore, the two of them turned around at the same time and quickly fled into the distance. However, at this moment, there was a loud boom, and the body of the Sky Sword Tribe leader suddenly exploded. A huge hole was blasted open on his massive body, and a golden figure soared into the sky. Yi Chen's golden chainmail was spotless. He held the Rui Jingu Bang and stood in front of the Thunder Tribe leader and the Green Fire Nine Tails. He asked coldly, "Where are the two of you going?" The Thunder Tribe leader and the Green Fire Nine Tails looked at Yi Chun and the countless ghost mantises behind Yi Chun in fear. The Green Fire Nine Tails was a little surprised. She kept looking at the ghost mantises and then at Yi Chun. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed and she roared in fear. "Impossible. These are clearly the ghost mantises of the Netherworld. How can an outsider control them? How did you do it?" Yi Chun smiled, and a chilling gleam flashed across his white teeth. "You want to know? Go to hell and find the answer." Just as he finished speaking, the Rui Jingu Bang smashed down. The Sky Sword Tribe's tribe leader was already dead. Only the leader of the Thunder Tribe and the Blue Fire Nine Tails were left. Obviously, they were a little flustered. Moreover, the two of them were completely flustered. The other party was too strong, and the East Continent was too strange. They were no match for them at all. Now, the two of them had even given up on avenging their tribe. They only wanted to leave this terrifying demon as soon as possible. This was simply a demon from hell. Facing these two fellows who were already completely terrified, Yi Chun didn't need to spend much effort to kill them both. At this moment, the Heavenly Sword Tribe, which was surrounded by countless nether mantises, had been completely devoured. Above the ruins of the Sky Sword Tribe, those gigantic nether mantises were devouring the remains of the Sky Sword Tribe's chief. On the head of the Sky Sword Tribe's chief's huge dragon head, his eyes were wide open. He probably never dreamed that the Sky Sword Tribe would be destroyed in such a way one day. At this moment, the Lava Dragon King had almost recovered. He staggered forward, and after seeing this scene, he immediately knelt down at Yi Chen's feet. "Master, this time, not only did you avenge me, but you also helped the master of my tribe to avenge him. For the rest of my life, I will continue to go through fire and water for you until my death." Yi Chen looked at the Lava Dragon King, who knelt on the ground to express his loyalty, and revealed a faint smile. Although he believed that the Lava Dragon King might be loyal from the bottom of his heart, Yi Chen was still more willing to believe in the power of the contract book than such an illusory thing. With the existence of the contract book, the Lava Dragon King would never betray him. What Yi Chen did today was not only to avenge the Lava Dragon King, but also to kill all the creatures of the Nether Demonic Realm. Those who were not of the same race were bound to have different intentions. Yi Chen believed that these creatures of the Nether Demonic Realm would not give up their evil intentions and would think of invading the Eldritch Continent one day. Since Yi Chen had already come this time, he might as well get rid of this hidden danger once and for all. Yi Chen waved his hand, and an invisible force lifted the Lava Dragon King up. A fiery red energy crystal appeared in his palm. It was the fire essence of the Supreme Grade. Yi Chen said to the Lava Dragon King, "This Supreme Grade fire essence of the Nether Demonic Realm is a special product of the Nether Demonic Realm. It's very useful to me. Now, I've decided to collect this Supreme Grade fire essence of the Supreme Grade with all my strength. I need to start a war with the entire Nether Demonic Realm. Do you have anything to say?" The Lava Dragon King was stunned. After all, the Nether Demonic Realm was his hometown. But now his entire tribe had been wiped out. The Lava Dragon King had no feelings for the Nether Demonic Chi. So, he immediately said to Yi Chen, "Your Majesty, no matter what decision you make, I will support you 100%. Since this Supreme Grade fire essence of the Supreme Grade is very useful to your Majesty, we can even destroy the entire Nether Demonic Realm." As Yi Chen gazed at the boundless demonic netherworld, a lofty aspiration rose in his heart. While the players of the various minor worlds were desperately trying to gain a foothold and reorganize their territories, he had already arrived at the demonic netherworld. Moreover, he was about to stir up a storm of blood here. Yichen thought for a moment and felt that this was a great opportunity to train his troops. Yi Chun and the Lava Dragon King left the nether demonic realm in a flash. With the teleportation circle, Yi Chun could leave at any time. However, Yi Chun sent a thought to the Samsara dynasty. Dian Wei personally led 1 million of the most elite warriors of the Samsara dynasty to wait for Yi Chun outside the foggy swamp. There were other generals of the Samsara dynasty guarding, so Yi Chun was not worried at all. Yi Chun did not explain anything to Dian Wei and the others. He waved his sleeve and took them all into the small world. Then, Yi Chun activated the teleportation circle and arrived at the nether demonic realm again. Then, he led out Dian Wei and the 1 million elite warriors of the Samsara dynasty. The 1 million elite warriors lined up neatly in the wilderness. Yi Chun looked at the group of elite warriors moving like the wind. He nodded with satisfaction and said, "Brothers, do you know where this place is? To tell you the truth, this is no longer the Eldritch continent, but the nether demonic realm." Chapter 1482. There are countless evil creatures living in the nether devil realm. There isn't a moment when these guys aren't thinking about how to invade our Eldritch continent. These ambitious bastards deserve to die. Even if it's not for the peace of the Eldritch continent, we have to exterminate these damned bastards for our own sake. Hearing Yi Chen's words, the warriors of the Samsara dynasty finally knew where they were. They looked into the distance with excitement. They did not expect to be in the nether demonic world. The elite warriors of the Samsara dynasty were already exhausted after fighting with the players from other kingdoms or the native monsters of the Eldritch continent. However, they did not expect their king, Yi Chun, to bring them to the nether demonic world to fight. This was definitely exciting enough. At the thought of being able to expand their territory in the nether devil realm, these warriors felt incomparably shocked and excited. Following the million rank 4 elites was the ghost genius Guojia and Guofeng Shao. Yi Chun turned around and said to Guofeng Shao and Zhang Wuji, "Next, in the nether demonic realm, I will allocate 100,000 nether mantises to you two as a form of cooperation and cover. As for how we fight this battle, it will depend on your commanding ability." Guofeng Shao gently waved the jade fan in his hand and said with a confident smile, "Rest assured, Your Majesty. This subordinate has plenty of ways to deal with this group of wild men who only know how to cultivate." The 1 million elite warriors of the Samsara dynasty were stationed here. Under Guofeng Xiao's command, they were not in a hurry to expand their territory. Instead, they were stabilizing the situation that Yi Chun had created. After Yi Chun exterminated several large tribes, there were no other forces within a few thousand kilometers. This place was completely his. However, Yi Chun felt regretful that there were not many spiritual fire crystal veins of the highest quality. The ones that were known had all been excavated. However, Yi Chun did not intend to let the nether demonic world rest. Instead, he used a destructive method of excavation. That was to order these nether mantises, who had amazing senses, to look for the highest grade fire spiritual crystal veins. Once they found them, they would start a destructive excavation. In an instant, the ground within a radius of several thousand miles was riddled with holes. Even several thousand feet underground were connected to each other. Once the pressure on the ground was too great, the entire ground would collapse. The treasure-seeking psychic bird played an irreplaceable role in the destruction. After Yi Chun threw it a few fire spirit crystals, the treasure-hunting psychic bird completely remembered his aura. The treasure-hunting psychic bird could easily smell the scent of top-grade fire essence, even from hundreds of kilometers away. Therefore, under the guidance of the treasure-hunting psychic bird, they would usually find a vein of top-grade fire essence after digging for several hundred feet. Under Guofeng Xiao's command, all the warriors of the Samsara dynasty used the concealment skill to disguise themselves completely. Now, they no longer had the aura of the untainted world. Instead, they had become the native creatures of the nether devil realm. Guo Fengshao's method was more reliable. First, he sent out some scouts to find out the distribution of the surrounding tribes. He chose some small tribes that were relatively weak and located in a more remote area. Then, he surrounded them and completely cut off the tribe's contact with the outside world. Then, he launched a destructive attack on the tribe at night. First, the nether mantises rushed to the front and killed all the resistance of the tribe. Then, the elite warriors of the Samsara dynasty would clean up the mess. This was the terrifying part of Guo Fengsha, the ghost genius. Guo Fengsha commanded millions of elite warriors of the Samsara dynasty to sweep across millions of miles and destroy thousands of tribes. However, no news was leaked. It was as if these tribes had suddenly encountered a plague. One by one, they disappeared from everyone's sight. Not a single one of them managed to escape alive. Not a single one of them managed to escape from his encirclement. With this group of smart and capable subordinates, Yi Chun was completely relieved. Now, he mainly focused on finding and solving the fertility problem of the dragon and phoenix tribes. The Nether Devil realm was boundless. Yi Chun continued to wander in the boundless area with the Lava Dragon King. After this period of wandering, Yi Chun also saw the endless, ruthless creatures of the Nether Devil realm. There were as many tribes as the 3 he destroyed in the Nether Devil realm as there were as many as the stars in the sky. The more Yi Chun thought about it, the more he felt that he had made the right decision. If the underworld demonic realm were to find a way to invade the Eldritch continent, given the current overall strength of the Eldritch continent, it would be a destructive blow to the Eldritch continent. Moreover, after the Great War of Witches and Demons, the overall strength of the untainted land tribes would decline to a certain extent. If the Devil realm invaded again at that time, no one would be able to resist them. Even though the Nether Devil realm did not invade when Yi Chun was reborn in his previous life, Yi Chun did not want to leave such a hidden danger behind. Now, Yi Chun already knew that there were a total of 9 giant tribes in the Nether Devil realm. They occupied most of the territories in the Nether Devil realm. They had the most soldiers and the most resources. Among them, the thousands of tribes that were destroyed by Yi Chun and the Reincarnation Dynasty belonged to the Red Sea tribe. In the Red Sea tribe, in a huge cave, the cave was inlaid with tens of thousands of luminous pearls the size of a human head. The entire cave was brightly lit. In the depths of the cave, a tall old man with a red face was sitting behind a purple gold table. This old man also had 2 tall purple gold dragon horns on his head. At this time, he was furious. Who can tell me what's going on? In my territory, I have lost contact with thousands of tribes recently. Can anyone come out and give me an explanation? Where do the people of these tribes go? Did they disappear from the face of the earth? Or did they collectively escape to the territories of other damned bastards? Below this old man, on both sides, sat dozens of burly men with astonishing auras. Terrifying energy fluctuations were constantly rising from these burly men's bodies. If Yi Chun were here, he would immediately discover that these burly men were all super experts at the level of Daluo Jinxian. However, at this time, these guys were trembling in fear in front of this old man and did not dare to say a word. Chapter 1483. Under that oppressive gaze, one of the burly men finally braced himself and stood up. He replied to the old man, "My king, according to my guess, this is most likely an extremely terrifying plague. Perhaps the thousands of tribesmen were all killed by the plague in a short period of time." The others nodded in agreement. They continued to echo, Yes, this must be an extremely terrifying plague. We've already sent troops to investigate this place. There's no trace of them leaving at all. This can only be explained by a plague." The old man was still unusually angry as he said, "Then why did this only happen in my tribe and not in other people's territories? There must be something fishy about this. Immediately send people to investigate. I'll only give you 3 days. I want the most perfect explanation. If any tribe continues to disappear in my territory, you damned bastards can forget about coming back to see me." After he finished speaking, An invisible wave of energy enveloped the entire cave. Then, the old man left silently. The others did not even notice how the old man left. The remaining burly men looked at each other and saw the heaviness in each other's eyes. It was obvious that the old man was angry. As the ruler of the Red Sea tribe, the Red Sea King was also the one with the most terrifying cultivation among them. No one knew what cultivation level the Red Sea King had reached. However, it was said that thousands of years ago, the Red Sea King's cultivation level had reached the peak of the Daluo Jinxian. Moreover, the Red Sea King had always been vicious and merciless. If they did not satisfy him this time, they would all be in trouble. One of the burly men, whose face was full of lumps, stood up and said coldly, "Everyone, we're all in the same boat now. You can't run away, and I can't run away. If we don't get to the bottom of this matter, the king will not let us go. It was a good idea. Don't hide it. Let's discuss it together." One of the men with a gloomy face said, "Don't talk about the plague anymore. No one is stupid. It's obvious that a force has entered our territory, and their methods are quite clever. They silently destroyed thousands of tribes. It's not difficult to find them. The difficult part is how to eliminate them. That's right. Since the other party was able to quietly wipe out thousands of tribes, it means that they're at ease. I suggest that we work together. Don't be left alone and give the other party an opportunity to take advantage of a bunch of cowardly rats you've cultivated for so many years, yet you've been scared out of your wits by some sneaky rascals before you've even met them. I'm ashamed to be associated with you. I like to see who's stirring up trouble here." After saying that, a muscular man who was over 50 feet tall left the cave without looking back. After he left, the short and gloomy man couldn't help but sneer and say, "This idiot. He doesn't even know who his opponent is, yet he dares to be so arrogant. I like to see how he dies." At this time, another voice sounded from the corner. "It's good that someone stands out. Let him test the other party's strength. At least we'll know what's going on. Immediately send people to follow him. Once we find that he's giving himself away, we'll immediately swarm him and cut off his escape route." Well said. It's better for him to die than all of us. It's settled then. The group of people turned into a gust of wind and disappeared. The entire hall was empty and there was no movement. After an unknown period of time, the old man who had left earlier appeared behind his table again. He closed his eyes slightly, and no one knew what he was thinking. At this time, Guofeng Xiao and Dian Wei led the Samsara Legion to destroy thousands of tribes. The harvest was also very huge. Just the number of top-grade fire essences delivered to Yichun was a very terrifying number. In the end, after the soldiers had completely adapted to the environment of the Nether Devil world, they began to take action themselves. Guofeng Xiao's usual style was to let the nether mantises surround a tribe so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Then, Dian Wei led the Samsara Legion soldiers to launch a sneak attack and end with a frontal assault. The Samsara army had been slightly injured at the start, then they were evenly matched, and now they held the absolute advantage. Every soldier of the Samsara army had rapidly improved. They also discovered a special feature. After killing the natives of the Nether Devil world, a trace of essence would float out from the dead bodies and merge into their bodies. This would help them improve their strength quickly. As a result, the soldiers of the Samsara Legion were even more motivated. After a careful investigation, Guofeng Xiao's eyes locked onto a large tribe. This tribe was as big as 3 Thunder tribes and 2 Sky Sword tribes added together. There were more than 100,000 elite soldiers in the entire tribe, but they did not know that they were surrounded by the Samsara Legion. Dian Wei stood beside Guofeng Xiao with 2 giant weapons. He turned his head and asked, "Military advisor, should we just rush up and kill them as usual?" Guofeng Xiao gently waved his feather fan and said, "This tribe is stronger than those we've encountered before. General, don't be careless. It's best to be cautious." At this moment, Guofeng Xiao and Dian Wei's expressions changed at the same time. They looked at each other and said, "Something's wrong." It turned out that every time Guofeng Xiao and Dian Wei had to work, they would send out countless nether mantises to be their eyes and spies. They would always keep an eye on the situation around them to prevent them from being surrounded and caught in a jar. They did not expect to really encounter them today. These nether mantises were best at hiding. They hid in some hidden corners and did not emit any energy waves. Even if an expert of Daluo Jinxian's level stood beside them, it would be difficult to detect them. Dianwei said with a gloomy face, "These nether mantises have limited intelligence. They've sent back information that 2 groups of experts are rapidly approaching. What should we do?" Guofeng Xiao quickly calculated in his mind and immediately ordered, "We don't know how strong the enemy is now. Immediately take our brothers back to the place where we were hiding. I will send a team of nether mantises to test their strength." Chapter 1484. Dawn. Following a gust of wind, a burly man over 50 feet tall suddenly landed on a mountaintop. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Black leaves rustled as they fell. The burly man stared with a pair of bell-like eyes, shooting out 2 red beams of light. He scanned the area within a radius of 100 miles, looking for any suspicious movements. He was the Daluo Jinxian level expert who had left the Red Sea King's palace first. Heisha. After a quarter of an hour, he did not find any suspicious signs. Heisha touched his huge head in confusion and muttered to himself, "What's going on? I've asked people to analyze the patterns of these damned invaders. It's very likely that their next target is this tribe. How can there be nothing? Could it be that my estimation is wrong?" Thousands of miles away from Heisha, in a cloud of gray fog, in the palace, the other Daluo Jinxian level experts were hiding. They were observing the movements thousands of miles away through a special magic tool. One of the short men said with a cold face, "Heisha is an idiot. He went there with such fanfare. Even if the invaders made a move, they would have been scared away by him." Another stood up and stretched. He said impatiently, "I think we have too much free time. How long have we been delayed by following that reckless Heisha? Why don't we split up and search on our own? The chances of success will be higher." An old man narrowed his pale golden eyes and said coldly, "What's the hurry? Go back and hug your women to sleep. Any time is fine. If you don't settle the king's matter quickly, just wait for your heads to roll." The old man's voice was hoarse and unpleasant, like a steel knife scraping against an iron pot. It made people uncomfortable, but no one refuted him. After all, the Red Sea King's order was like a steel knife hanging over their necks. If they did not find out the truth behind the disappearance of thousands of tribes, no one could bear the anger of the Red Sea King. The old man saw that the others were silent. Then he sneered and said, "Let's not disturb that reckless Heisha first. After he leaves, we'll go investigate and see if there's anything he hasn't found. Black Shark is in the light, and we are in the dark. We can definitely find those cunning rats." As for Black Shark, after searching for a while and finding nothing, he roared in anger, "Damned cunning and shameless field mouse. If I catch you, I'll definitely tear your head off. I'll pull out your intestines." Black Shark, who was venting his anger, fiercely stomped on the ground. Immediately, the entire hill collapsed. Smoke and dust filled the sky. At the same time, Heisha also rushed into the distance to search for the other tribe he suspected. In the shadows of a black forest in the distance, Dianwei and Guofeng Xiao were using the concealment array that Yi Chun had left for them, perfectly hiding their tracks with the Samsara Legion soldiers behind them. Even though they were only separated by a distance of several dozen kilometers, the Black Shark was still unable to find any clues. Seeing Black Shark soar into the sky to locate his position, Dianwei stretched out his carrot-like finger and poked Guo Fengxiao's waist. He asked in a low voice, "Military advisor, that demon dragon has already flown away. Are we still not going to make a move?" Guo Fengxiao glared at Dianwei and moved away from him. Then he said angrily, "Don't be impatient. Our target isn't that demon dragon anyway. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. There's an even bigger guy behind that demon dragon." Dianwei withdrew his finger without any embarrassment. The corner of his mouth gradually revealed a hint of malevolence as he said, "How big is it? I, Lao Jian, can't wait to taste fresh blood." Guo Fengxiao shook his head solemnly and said, "General Dianwei, don't act rashly and alert the enemy. This group of guys is very powerful. We're just testing their strength this time. As for how to make a move, we still need His Majesty's decree." At the mention of Yi Chun, Dianwei had no choice but to agree in a muffled voice and continue to lie there obediently. Sure enough, after Black Shark disappeared for about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, a demonic wind blew out of nowhere. Immediately after, a thick gray fog descended from the sky. In the place where the fog was originally, a dozen or so valiant figures appeared. Their figures were all different, but they all exuded a ferocious and bloodthirsty aura. Dianwei immediately retracted all his aura and made a hand gesture to the back, telling these Samsara Legion soldiers not to make any noise. He could sense great danger from these guys. If there was only one of them, he could still lead the Samsara Legion soldiers to take it down. But facing a dozen or so Daluo Jinxian level superdemon beasts, the Samsara Legion might not be able to take them down even if they were completely wiped out. The dozen or so Daluo Jinxian level experts floated in the air. One of them looked at the destroyed mountain with contempt and sneered. "Black Shark is really a brute with nothing but brute strength. I really wonder how this idiot with only muscles for brains managed to cultivate to this day without being killed." The old man snorted and said, "Stop talking nonsense and get to work." The old man nodded and suddenly waved his hand. A gray light covered the ground within a radius of several thousand li. Immediately after, a layer of gray fluorescent light appeared on the ground. On this gray fluorescent light, there were actually countless footprints. When the dozen or so experts saw the dense footprints, they immediately trembled and revealed a savage smile on their faces. "Cunning little mice, we finally found you. Let me see where you are hiding. Little darling, come out quickly. Let this grandpa have a taste of your tender flesh." "Hee, don't be so loud, bastard. It won't be fun if you scare these little mice away." When Guo Fengxiao saw the gray fluorescent light on the ground, his expression changed greatly. He didn't expect these natives of the underworld to have such an ability. He had underestimated them. If they followed the footprints and found this place, even with Yi Chen's concealment array, they would be exposed. Do it. With Guo Fengxiao's secret order, endless black smoke immediately gushed out from all directions, instantly filling up the space within several hundred kilometers. This was the fog array created by the array masters in Yi Chen's small world. Once the black smoke was created, it was very difficult to disperse. It would only dissipate completely after an hour, and an hour was enough to do a lot of things. Chapter 1485. Although they were suddenly surrounded by endless black smoke, none of the more than a dozen Daluo Jinxian level masters panicked. They hit the old man and sneered. "It seems that this group of little rats can't hide anymore. They're coming out. Get ready to fight at any time." Suddenly, they turned into more than a dozen ferocious fire dragons. Each of them was more than 100,000 feet long. Although they were of different colors, the evil and tyrannical burning aura on their bodies could not be changed. At the moment when the surrounding array was activated, countless nether mantises appeared in the surrounding void. When these nether mantises first came to the nether devil world, they were only a few dozen feet long. After devouring thousands of tribes and millions of exotic fire dragons with different cultivations, they had grown into behemoths of more than 5,000 feet. Their dark shells were like metal, and their huge sides were more than 1,000 feet long. The edges of the sides were shining with a sharp, cold light. Although these nether mantises were still a little small compared to the more than a dozen fire dragons of different shapes and sizes, they were more agile and nimble. They appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Their bodies were as hard as diamond, and there were many of them. Although Guo Fengxiao only released a small part of them, there were at least tens of thousands of them. These tens of thousands of nether mantises rushed out of the void in all directions. They kept appearing and disappearing in the void and quickly rushed to the giant fire dragons. Among them, the old man who had turned into a black and green fire dragon suddenly showed a trace of ferocity on its huge dragon head. Interesting. It's actually the most inconspicuous nether mantises in our devil world. Can these little things hurt us even if there are more of them? What a joke. As soon as his voice fell, he suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a terrifying flame that was hundreds of thousands of feet long. This ball of flame instantly filled the space within several hundred kilometers. Except for the dozen or so companions around him who were not affected, the space was filled with flames. Even Guofeng Xiao, Dianwei, and the others who were far away felt a hot wave of air coming toward them. Even their eyebrows and beards were about to be ignited. This intense flame lasted for 2 breaths of time. At first, the black and green fire dragon thought that these bug-like hell mantises would all be burned to ashes. Suddenly, the moment the flames dissipated, more than 10 ferocious hell mantises jumped out of the void. In an instant, he pounced on her slender body, and the sharp sickle viciously cut into her body. That black gold fire dragon suddenly let out a crazy roar, only to see that the shining scales on its body were like snowflakes falling down one by one. The nether mantis lay on his body, opened its bloody mouth, and crazily tore at the flesh and blood under the scales. If there was only one ghost mantis, it might not have much effect on the huge black gold fire dragon. It was like a person being bitten by a flea. However, there were too many of them. In an instant, there were 500 ghost mantises stuck to his body. Moreover, its scales fell down like snowflakes, and its flesh and blood splattered. The black gold fire dragon also couldn't help but let out a crazy scream. His body suddenly began to vibrate at a high frequency. Even though the sharp sides of the nether mantises had already penetrated several hundred feet into his body, they were still sent flying away. But before he could take a breath, more ghost mantises pounced on him, and the dozen or so fire dragons immediately fell into a panic. At this time, Black Shark, who had left earlier, was already hundreds of thousands of miles away. Just as he was about to go to the next suspected tribe to wait, he suddenly saw a fluctuation in the void in front of him, and a huge lava fire dragon appeared in front of him. Black Shark immediately stopped and looked at the lava fire dragon king suspiciously. He opened his huge mouth and roared like thunder. "You shameless worm blocking my way. Which tribe are you from? Do you know how powerful I am?" The corners of the lava fire dragon king's mouth gradually showed a trace of ferocity. He slowly bounced up and said with a cruel smile, "Stupid guy, your mouth is too smelly. Today, you will become my food." Apparently, Heisha could see that Lava Dragon King's cultivation base was not much different from his. They were both perfected golden immortals, but Heisha was born with divine strength and had unparalleled confidence in his own cultivation base. He looked at the Lava Fire Dragon King mockingly and said, "Boy, with just you, I think you need to be taught a lesson." Right at this moment, another clear voice sounded out once more. "How about I join in as well?" Black Shark was shocked. He had fully released his divine sense, but he didn't find the existence of a third person at the scene. On top of the Lava Dragon King's head, a tall and straight figure slowly appeared. After Yi Chun appeared, he didn't talk nonsense with Black Shark. Instead, he stomped on the Lava Fire Dragon King's head and said coldly, "What are you waiting for? Speed is crucial in war. Let's kill him together." "Yes, master." The Lava Fire Dragon King roared in a low voice and immediately pounced on Black Shark like a gust of wind. Yi Chun also soared into the sky, waved the Rui Jingu Bang in his hand, and viciously smashed it down on Black Shark. When Black Shark heard the Lava Fire Dragon King call Yi Chun, he was stunned for a moment. Then his face turned ferocious and said, "You called a master? A Lava Fire Dragon with a noble bloodline is calling such a lowly insect master? You have fallen." Black Shark, the newbie in the game, seemed to find it very hard to accept. Then his body trembled, and a hint of understanding appeared in his eyes. He stared at Yi-chun and said, "You're an outsider. I know. The disappearance of the thousands of tribesmen in our king's territory must have something to do with you. Stupid big guy, you talk too much." As he spoke, Yi-chun's Rui Jingu Bang had already smashed down like a thunderbolt. Black Shark hurriedly raised a huge claw, trying to catch the Rui Jingu Bang. After a loud bang, the Jingu Bang and the huge claw collided, and a sound of metal clashing rang out. Black Shark swung his claw with all his strength and pain. He felt a heart-wrenching pain from his claw into his body. The strength of the Jingu Bang was so strong that it almost destroyed his claw. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.